Listening to Fox News.
So who is your wireless provider? AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile? The average person is saving $400 a year by switching to Pure Talk USA. Pure Talk is on the same network, same towers, just 50% off in terms of price. Right now, get unlimited talk, text, and 2 gigs of data for just $20 a month. Switch to Pure Talk today. Now, from your cell phone, dial pound 250 and say Pure Radio. That's pound 250, Pure Radio, Pure Talk USA. Simply smarter wireless.
This is a special end-of-summer announcement from Dell. At our Labor Day sale, small businesses can save up to 50% on select business computers with Intel Core processors. We're committed to taking your business to the next level. Give our small business technology advisors a call. They'll identify the right tech solution for your business with Labor Day savings. Visit Dell.com/business deals or call us at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
A program designed to keep California renters from being kicked out of their homes during the pandemic is extended. It was supposed to expire today.
California Governor Gavin Newsom signs a 5-month extension to the eviction moratorium. Tenants who pay at least 25% of their monthly rent cannot be kicked out. They'll have to sign a declaration saying they've lost income due to the coronavirus pandemic. Renters not making those minimum payments can be kicked out February 1st. And landlords starting next March can sue for back rent going back to this past March when the moratorium took effect. So a lot of renters who haven't been able to catch up could be evicted down the road. The legislation also prevents foreclosure of rental properties with 4 or fewer units if the pandemic has prevented that landlord from collecting rent. Chris Foster, Fox News.
New York City continuing to err on the side of caution when it comes to reopenings, even though neighboring New Jersey is allowing indoor dining to resume at 25% capacity. And schools in New York City, the nation's largest public school system, will have to wait a bit longer to open classrooms.
The union for New York City's school teachers were threatening to strike if made to return to work for the new school year starting next week. Now they've agreed to work with precautions.
How to make sure people are prepared for the school year under absolutely unprecedented conditions.
New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio says teachers are agreeable to holding off the in-person start date for kids while they prepare for so-called blended learning.
Some kids in school one day, other kids in school another day. The buildings will be open and operational and taking kids for that crucial in-person learning.
More than 1 million kids attend New York City's public schools. Eben Brown, Fox News.
De Blasio announcing a 10-day delay to September 21st. An hour to the close on Wall Street, a rally. The Dow's up 148 points. The NASDAQ up more than 1%, topping 11,900. I'm Lisa Brady, and this is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
From the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones. A Webster County man has entered a not guilty plea to a murder charge. 43-year-old Fort Dodge resident Justin Hurdle is charged with first-degree murder after police say he killed his estranged wife, Maggie Flint. The alleged incident happened August 5th, and Hurdle was arrested on August 6th. Police located him after a search of over 16 hours. According to court documents, Hurdle had been charged with domestic assault on Flint in the past, and Flint had told police of threats on her life made by Hurdle last fall. Hurdle entered a not guilty plea on Monday to first-degree murder. Test results have determined that a fire that destroyed the Oasis nightclub in Storm Lake was set intentionally. Radio Iowa's Ryan Thompson has more.
Samples were removed from the floor of the stage where the fire is believed to have started and were taken to the state crime lab to be evaluated. Gasoline was found to be present in the samples tested. The fire occurred late in the night on August 8th. Firefighters located the fire burning in the area of the stage at the east end of the building. The Oasis nightclub will not be reopening due to the extent of damage. Anyone who may have information about the fire is asked to contact the Storm Lake Police Department. For Radio Iowa from Storm Lake, I'm Ryan Thompson.
The City of Fort Dodge Public Works Department and Sanitation Division has announced due to the Labor Day holiday, Monday, September 7th, that garbage collection routes for the City of Fort Dodge will undergo some changes. Residents that normally have theirs collected on Monday will be collected Tuesday, September 8th. Those normally collected on Tuesdays will be collected on Thursday, September 10th. Wednesday, September 9th will be the normal schedule, and those citizens that have theirs picked up on Thursdays will be collected on Friday, September 11th. The central maintenance facility will be closed for yard waste disposal on Monday, September 7th. Curbside yard waste will not be picked up on Friday, September 11th. The Sanitation Division asks residents to place their trash and recycling out for collection by 6 a.m. on the scheduled day of pickup. For more information, visit fortdodgeiowa.org. From Radio Iowa Sports, Iowa State will allow 25,000 fans at the Cyclone home opener against Louisiana on September 12th. ISU Athletic Director Jamie Pollard says there will be no tailgating allowed and fans will be required to wear face coverings.
And what better opportunity for our fans to shine? We do a great job in showing how good we are at bowl games. We did a great job with game day. We do a great job with game attendance. Let's show the country that Ames, Iowa, and Iowa State Cyclone fans can nail this.
The stadium will be mapped out to allow for social distancing, and Pollard says if fans do not follow protocols, the October 4th game against Oklahoma could be played without fans at Jack Trice.
Do your part, and let's see if we can make this happen. And if we can make it happen, it could be an incredible success story. And if it just ends up being, for whatever reason, lack of compliance or our mitigation strategies just don't work, okay, then we got to pull the plug. And but I'll know we tried.
Catch every single game of the 2020 Iowa State football season on your home for the Iowa State Cyclones, True Country 540 KWMT. That's your Alpha Media News Update from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom. I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Partly cloudy skies this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 77. Winds out of the south 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 52. Tonight, mainly clear. 88 tomorrow, mainly clear skies. Upper 70s Thursday, turning much warmer on Friday with highs in the mid 80s. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 72.
Hiring can be challenging, but ZipRecruiter makes it fast and easy. We talked to Monica Starks, who needed to hire for her company, GS Group.
As the owner of a construction company, finding the right people is a very difficult task. So I use ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter finds the right people for your job and actively invites them to apply.
With ZipRecruiter, we've hired everyone from accountants to project managers to field scientists.
And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/trial. That's ZipRecruiter.com/trial.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
Okay, class, let's bump it up to 9.
Come on, Limu, keep pedaling. We got to build our endurance to let more people know that Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need.
Pick up the pace, bird legs.
Hey, don't talk to Limu like that.
I'm not, I'm talking to you.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Get a customized quote at libertymutual.com.
It won't be long before the kids are back in school. Got your to-do list ready?
School supplies? Check. School clothes? Check. School sports physical? Not check. Uh-oh.
Better call Active Health Clinics today. Active Health Clinics offer sports physicals for kids in grade school through college. Your child can also become a new Active Health patient for only $25. And you'll have the peace of mind of knowing their spine is in line and they're all ready for school. Make an appointment for your star athlete today. Active Health Clinics, Fort Dodge.
It's Michael Devine at AM 1400.
In the name of justice and the American way of life.
With 60 rounds of freedom.
That's right. In the name of justice, I have 60 rounds of freedom with me at all times. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a great show. We have Steve Peterson later on and Jim Kirsten, of course, David Ferrick. And I'm on fire today. I'm absolutely on fire today as we continue to hear from the Democratic Party about why they should be elected instead of that awful, awful Donald Trump. Yes, Donald Trump is awful. Well, I'll tell you, I'm not that crazy about his manners myself. I'm not. But what has he really done as far as economic concerns that would force us to throw him out of office, especially, and this is the key thing here, ladies and gentlemen, especially with rural Americans, white working people. That would be me and you, wouldn't it? Are you a white working person? Yes, you are. Most likely. Hopefully we have some black working people out there. But this applies to working people of all stripes. But I would like to address my largely white audience. Is that I suppose that makes me something, doesn't it? It makes me something terrible and awful. But I'm telling you this because the Democratic Party is very big on enfranchising minority groups. That's fine. But they shouldn't disenfranchise white working people. Bill Clinton did. He did an admirable job of it. Bill Clinton, you know, the famously feminist president. Remember what he did? You know, you remember how he treated women? He treated women like tissue paper. And he's still remembered by the Democratic Party as a charming, good guy who was hounded by those doggone Christian conservative Republicans. As if a moral position by a president shouldn't be part of our consideration. And the Democrats to this day still really kind of shy away from the issue of sex. Oh, Trump went out and got a hooker. I know that. You know, I know that. He'd hardly be the first politician that did something like that. But I'll get down to the real nitty-gritty with you here. First of all, I want to compare Bill Clinton's tenure with that of Lyndon Johnson. Lyndon Johnson was president of the United States when I was in high school. And he was a slow-talking Southerner. He was somebody who irritated pseudo-intellectual liberals, and we have a few of those around here in our little area, believe it or not. The very appearance of Johnson with his jowly face and sad eyes and always talking about this, that, and the other thing, and that slow Southern drawl of his just drove those people absolutely insane. And frankly, that's what I'm here to do. Lyndon Johnson grew up in the Depression as George McGovern and a lot of other great Democrats did, and the searing memories that they had of being terribly poor in a rich country stayed with them forever. George McGovern was from an isolated rural area in South Dakota. His parents worked for food. They exchanged their labor for food. Johnson lived out in a part of West Texas where he and his brother would walk for an hour or two just to see a highway. Then they'd sit there and wait for a car to go by, because waiting for that car to go by caused the boys to be very, very excited. Oh boy, a car has gone by. There's somebody else in this giant world other than us two little kids sitting out here on this prairie. That's the way Lyndon Johnson grew up. Bill Clinton grew up. Bill Clinton grew up as a member of the local country club. He had his own car in high school. He played sax in the school band. All of those things. His claim to living an impoverished life are, well, exaggerated. The real poverty came from people like McGovern, Johnson, even Richard Nixon. Lyndon Johnson designed the Great Society. He expanded civil rights when it was dangerous to do that. He got public broadcasting through Medicare, Medicaid, aid to education, the arts, urban and rural development, public services, and his war on poverty. The war on poverty helped millions of Americans rise above the poverty line during his administration. Civil rights bills that he signed into law banned racial discrimination in public facilities, interstate commerce, the workplace housing. The Voting Rights Act that Johnson got passed prohibited certain requirements in southern states used to disenfranchise African Americans. With the passage of the Immigration Nationality Act of 1965, you didn't know about that one, did you? With the passage of the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1967, the country's immigration system was reformed, encouraging greater immigration from regions other than Europe. This is that sad old, boring Texas clown Lyndon Johnson, who, oh my God, pushed the war in Vietnam. Hey, LBJ, said the intelligentsia. How many kids have you killed today? Heard that on college campuses all over the country during the 1960s. Ask your parents or grandparents. Hey, LBJ, how many kids did you kill today? Lyndon Johnson died at the age of 64. A beaten and defeated man. How could he have been beaten and defeated when you look at his accomplishments? Now, let's look at the modern Democratic Party. The modern Democratic Party started with Bill Clinton, old Bubba. Yeah, I'm from Hope, Arkansas. He moved from Hope, Arkansas when he was about 7 years old. But I'm from Hope. It's a place called Hope. Well, you know the Clinton story, or I do. I know it very well. But I'll be brief. This is radio. Here's a list of Bill Clinton's major legislative achievements. You ready? 3 separate major bank deregulation bills. You know who suffers most when we do these sorts of things like major deregulation of banks? Well, that means we are protecting the largely white, very wealthy Wall Street people at the expense of usually black and brown poor people. This is the Democratic president, ladies and gentlemen. This is the founder of the Democratic Party as we know it today, Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton deregulated the telecom industry. I belong to a group, a radio station group, an advertising group that has 248 radio stations. And we're not even one of the bigger ones. Alpha Media is not one of the bigger ones. That's why you get all this sameness in radio. That's why you can't find out anything that's true. They all plug into, well, Rush Limbaugh. I mean, you can hear Rush everywhere in the country. They'll pump in the type of music that they market tested. They hire a couple of voices, not personalities, I'll tell you that. Nobody with any real satiric sense or sense of irony. None of those things. They're just voices on the radio. And now, here's the song that you've been waiting for. I really hadn't been waiting for it, but I appreciate the Captain Big Voice routine. Hi there, I'm Captain Big Voice. Here's the devastating blow of Bill Clinton's presidency. He passed the North American Free Trade Agreement. Now, written in there were tax incentives for business to move overseas. Bill Clinton was clearly trying to impress on business that he could be very, very helpful. That when it came to the economy, he was one of them. All they had to do was get on the boat, so to speak, when it comes to gay marriage or things like that. And business jumped right on it. Business doesn't have a moral code. Business is there to make profit. Period. End of story. They don't want to get all tangled up in gay marriage or any of these things, or environmental causes, or any of the flaky things that wealthy liberals like to sit home and gab about over wine and cheese or whatever it is that they do. We got a lot of wine and cheese people listening today. Got a lot of wine and cheese people in Webster County or the surrounding counties. I don't think so. Bill Clinton ended welfare as we know it. He did. Bill Clinton ended welfare as we know it. He passed a crime bill that turned over-incarceration into mass incarceration. Guess who started getting thrown in jail at higher rates? Oh, yeah, black people. You know, the group of people that Democrats are always claiming as their own, and I mean that absolutely. The Democratic Party claims black people as their own. What was it Joe Biden said not long ago? If you ain't voting for me, you ain't black. Like this old pale dude would know that. You know, he gets to sit up there and get on a radio show, and I like Charlemagne the God, but he gets on Charlemagne the God's radio show and says, if you ain't voting for me, you ain't black. I bet that's the only time he said ain't publicly in his political career. But he was, identifying, trying to break down the barriers and identify by saying ain't. Bill Clinton slashed repeatedly capital gains tax. Did you know your capital gains tax had been slashed? There, Mr. Working Person or Ms. Working Person in Webster County or Humboldt County or Wright County. Did you know that? Did you know that, working person over there in Calhoun County? That Bill Clinton slashed capital gains tax? What did that mean to you? You didn't have any capital gains to slash in the first place, did you? You didn't have any capital. If you don't have capital gains, you don't have a capital gains tax. But wealthy people do. Wealthy white people, primarily, have capital gains. And they want their taxes cut because they're smarter than you, and they deserve it. What Bill Clinton did, in essence, was take all the money and push it up to the wealthiest people. He and his wife's, and this is a large part of why Hillary Clinton was beat. She never wants to admit it. It's always some doggone thing. But really why she got beat was her utter contempt for working people, and she didn't even try to hide it. The only people that matter to the Democratic Party and to the Clintons and to the Bidens is this educated aristocracy of highly successful mandarins, really. If you don't know what a mandarin is, go check it out. The pseudo-intellectual, educated, aristocratic class is at the heart of the Democratic Party. Does that describe you? Does that describe you listening out there? No, it doesn't. Bill Clinton, here's really the capper. Bill Clinton was in talks with Newt Gingrich to privatize Social Security toward the end of his term, in his second term. He was in talks with Newt Gingrich to privatize Social Security, but the pact fell through because, well, Bill felt entitled to abuse a young fat woman. A sad girl with stars in her eyes. He just whipped her in the back room there and said, well, I think you can do something for your country today. I think you can do something for your country, and here it is. Feminist president, feminist. Lyndon Johnson worked for Wilderness Preservation and Social Security. Bill Clinton was going to cut it or privatize it. Donald Trump wants to cut it. You know why? Because wealthy people don't like it. What was one of the things that Ronald Reagan did? And Ronald Reagan was unapologetically a leader of the wealthiest people in the country. You know, Ronald Reagan was really a failed actor, but he was an effective communicator. Bill Clinton's people studied Ronald Reagan's style. And if you look at Bill Clinton and Ronald Reagan in the way they deliver a message, you'll see not much of a difference. That's, you know, I mean, their policy goals were completely different. But when you get down to it, their presentation, the charm, the way they present things is really, really very similar. And of course, when it comes to politics or the law, whoever has the best argument wins the game. Whoever has the best argument wins the game. That's the way it is. So, what are we to do in this presidential race? I want to tell you, I don't know. I feel the same sense of helplessness that I did 4 years ago with Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. I don't know. Bill Clinton said in 1992, our new direction must rest on an understanding of the new realities of global competition. Who's hit hard by global competition? You go ask the folks over in Webster City who lost their factory over there. Go ask them. Ask the guys that worked at Hormel and Iowa Beef and all those places. What happened? That was Reagan's thing, but Bill Clinton saw it through. Bill Clinton said our new direction must rest on an understanding of the new realities of global competition. The world we face today is the world where what you earn depends on what you can learn. There's a direct relationship, Bill said, between high skills and high wages. Okay. The last I heard, it could cost upwards to $150,000 or more to go through the University of Iowa. You got that on you? You got that on you there, Mr. Welder, Mr. Truck Driver, Mr. Small Business Owner? You got that kind of cash laying around? No, you don't, do you? That means it's not what you earn is how much you learn. That means something entirely different. That means real success, like Clinton's trumpeting here, is off limits to you and yours. Now, this is the Democratic Party. This isn't those cold, indifferent Republicans. And I'm not saying for a minute that the Republicans aren't clueless and cold and indifferent. At the height of the economic crash, Paul Ryan of Wisconsin was openly worried that some of the relief money that was being talked about could induce people to just have a hammock lifestyle and will destroy their incentive to work. That is the great fear among Republicans, to destroy their. We have to have a working class that works their guts out for nothing, or capitalism doesn't work. I don't say that. Michael Bloomberg does. And I'm not pitting him on the Democrats or the Republicans. He's completely obnoxious. He really is. And I don't have anything to say about Michael Bloomberg. He's focused on guns. By the way, yeah, that's a promise. You heard that promise from Joe Biden, right? That he's gonna take all the guns because, God, that's what we need to do. This is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice for Dodge. It's 2:29. News is next.
Every great sandwich should start with a great bread, which is why Village Hearth bakes their breads the old-fashioned way. With toasted whole grains and natural sweeteners, only the best stuff to fuel you and your family. So whether it's a PB&J on light Italian or an avocado and tomato on toasted pumpernickel rye, Village Hearth has a delicious, nutritious bread to build it on. Village Hearth Bread. How do you sandwich?
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
From the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones. A Webster County man has entered a not guilty plea to a murder charge. 43-year-old Fort Dodge resident Justin Hurdle is charged with first-degree murder after police say he killed his estranged wife, Maggie Flint. The alleged incident happened August 5th, and Hurdle was arrested on August 6th. Police located him after a search of over 16 hours. According to court documents, Hurdle had been charged with domestic assault on Flint in the past, and Flint had told police of threats on her life made by Hurdle last fall. Hurdle entered a not guilty plea on Monday to first-degree murder. Test results have determined that a fire that destroyed the Oasis nightclub in Storm Lake was set intentionally. Radio Iowa's Ryan Thompson has more.
Samples were removed from the floor of the stage where the fire is believed to have started and were taken to the state crime lab to be evaluated. Gasoline was found to be present in the samples tested. The fire occurred late in the night on August 8th. Firefighters located the fire burning in the area of the stage at the east end of the building. The Oasis nightclub will not be reopening due to the extent of damage. Anyone who may have information about the fire is asked to contact the Storm Lake Police Department. For Radio Iowa from Storm Lake, I'm Ryan Thompson.
The City of Fort Dodge Public Works Department and Sanitation Division has announced due to the Labor Day holiday, Monday, September 7th, that garbage collection routes for the City of Fort Dodge will undergo some changes. Residents that normally have theirs collected on Monday will be collected Tuesday, September 8th. Those normally collected on Tuesdays will be collected on Thursday, September 10th. Wednesday, September 9th will be the normal schedule, and those citizens that have theirs picked up on Thursdays will be collected on Friday, September 11th. The central maintenance facility will be closed for yard waste disposal on Monday, September 7th. Curbside yard waste will not be picked up on Friday, September 11th. The Sanitation Division asks residents to place their trash and recycling out for collection by 6 a.m. on the scheduled day of pickup. For more information, visit FortDodgeIowa.org. From Radio Iowa Sports, Iowa State will allow 25,000 fans at the Cyclone home opener against Louisiana on September 12th. ISU Athletic Director Jamie Pollard says there will be no tailgating allowed and fans will be required to wear face coverings.
And what better opportunity for our fans to shine? We do a great job in showing how good we are at bowl games. We did a great job with game day. We do a great job with game attendance. Let's show the country that Ames, Iowa, and Iowa State Cyclone fans can nail this.
The stadium will be mapped out to allow for social distancing, and Pollard says if fans do not follow protocols, the October 4th game against Oklahoma could be played without fans at Jack Trice.
Do your part, and let's see if we can make this happen. And if we can make it happen, it could be an incredible success story. And if it just ends up being, for whatever reason, lack of compliance or our mitigation strategies just don't work, okay, then we got to pull the plug. But I'll know we tried.
Catch every single game of the 2020 Iowa State football season on your home for the Iowa State Cyclones, True Country 540 KWMT. That's your Alpha Media News Update from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom. I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Partly cloudy skies this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 77. Winds out of the south 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 52. Tonight, mainly clear. 88 tomorrow, mainly clear skies. Upper 70s Thursday, turning much warmer on Friday with highs in the mid 80s. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 71.
All right, 2:34 at AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I'm Michael Devine, and this hour's obituary is brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. Alf Lee has died. Alf Lee of Fort Dodge passed away Sunday at the age of 96 at the Friendship Haven. Services for Alf Lee will be at 2 o'clock in the afternoon Thursday at Gunderson Funeral Chapel. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. Steve Peterson of the Farm Bureau is here, and we'll talk with Steve in about 1 minute. This is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
When you're stressed, you just don't feel like yourself. New Natrol Relaxia, a full line of drug-free supplements to help you manage occasional stress and anxiety. A special blend of herbals keeps you feeling calm and balanced throughout the day. Because when there's less stress, there's more you. Try new Natrol Relaxia. Learn more at relaxiamood.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Sports Report, I'm Rob Jones. From Radio Iowa Sports, Iowa State will allow 25,000 fans at the Cyclone home opener against Louisiana on September 12th. ISU Athletic Director Jamie Pollard says there will be no tailgating allowed and fans will be required to wear face coverings.
And what better opportunity for our fans to shine? We do a great job in showing how good we are at bowl games. We did a great job with game day. We do a great job with game attendance. Let's show the country that Ames, Iowa, and Iowa State Cyclone fans can nail this.
The stadium will be mapped out to allow for social distancing, and Pollard says if fans do not follow protocols, the October 4th game against Oklahoma could be played without fans at Jack Trice.
Do your part, and let's see if we can make this happen. And if we can make it happen, it could be an incredible success story. And if it just ends up being, for whatever reason, lack of compliance or our mitigation strategies just don't work, okay, then we got to pull the plug. And but I'll know we tried.
Catch every single game of the 2020 Iowa State football season on your home for the Iowa State Cyclones, True Country 540 KWMT.
Michael Devine, standing for Medicare and Social Security. After a lifetime of work, you deserve it. AM 1400 KVFD.
I think our partner Rod Jones there forgot which radio station he was on there. He just said sports for KWMT. That's across the hall, down the hall and around the corner, KWMT. Anyway, it's 2:37. This portion of the program brought to you by Webster County Farm Bureau.
We're the Iowa Farm Bureau, and we support farm families. We're a voice on local, state, and national issues. We're also committed to making rural Iowa a better place to live and keeping Iowa farm families on the farm.
Michael Devine with breaking news and stimulating talk.
That's right. We do breaking news. We talked about TIF a week or two ago. Talked about it for a whole week. I see the Fort Dodge Messenger got around to it just yesterday. So I applaud you, Fort Dodge Messenger, on breaking news. Of course, this portion of the program brought to you by the Webster County Farm Bureau. And we're fortunate again today to have Steve Peterson with us, beautiful downtown Schleifer. What's going on there, Steve?
Getting ready for harvest here in the next. It's going to be here before we know it.
Oh, God, the summer's going so fast. What first? September 10th? I'm going to throw.
I'm going to think I might be in some soybeans next week.
So. Next week.
So,
wow.
I've heard some reports. There's been a few guys in corn already, here and there, and I think if the weather holds out,
guys have been in corn.
Yep, some early corn. And I think we're probably going to see some more hit and miss on that here, even yet this week. So definitely here. But some of the early soybeans, of course, we planted everything fairly timely or extremely timely this spring. And then we kind of had a lull where we got into a cold snap and things got set back a little bit. But the weather here in Iowa this summer has just raced these crops through.
Right.
With the added dryness of the drought that we're in and the temperatures that we've had in recent weeks, it's really accelerated the maturing of these crops. So it's not necessarily a good thing. This isn't the best environment to have a strong finish to a crop, but it's going to be here, and we're going to do what we need to do to get this stuff out when it's ready.
Yeah, I talked to Mike Ewing of Exotic Farnhamville just yesterday. I talk with Mike Ewing 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Of course, Mike won't be on this coming Friday or Monday because of the Labor Day weekend, and I won't be here anyway. Anyway, the point is, I told Mike yesterday I went down to Cedar Rapids over the weekend to see my grandkids.
You went into the heart of the mess of Iowa.
Oh my God! I mean, it's one thing to hear about it, even to see video and pictures of it, but that was just the destruction was mind-boggling. It really, really was. Yeah. And the crops are destroyed. There's no way they're going to get those crops off the ground.
No, I don't think in a lot of those areas. This is kind of a, I had a conversation with my crop insurance agent here, just today. I kind of wanted to refresh myself, so I kind of know what's going on, and it's something as a crop insurance is it's nice to have as a farmer, and fortunately for a lot of those farmers, 95% of all the acres in the country are covered by some form of crop insurance. Crop insurance is definitely not your preferred choice of making a living, but crop insurance is really designed to sustain a farmer in really bad times. It's a fallback position, and its intent is really to maintain a agricultural presence in the country. We don't need all of our farmers going bankrupt or in one fell swoop. So while it's not the preferred method, it definitely won't make you whole. It definitely is a huge aid in times like this, especially when you get wiped out like a lot of these guys did.
Yes, they did.
So it's going to be challenging. I know Iowa State Extension, I believe on the 9th of September, they're going to have I think some virtual meetings. So if anyone's interested in there, I'd reach out to the extension office.
What night did you say?
I think it's September 9th.
Okay.
I don't know the time, but and this is where Iowa State Extension is a huge asset to farmers and
Iowa State Extension is a huge asset.
So what they'll do is they bring in a lot of their experts. I remember they had a lot of meetings. It's been years ago when we had a lot of that hail that moved through the area. We had a lot of hail damage. It was at a particular time in the crop that was unique because our corn, if I remember right, was in what we call the milk stage. So basically, it was like sweet corn. That'd be the easiest reference. And when the hail hit it, it popped the kernels. So then you had basically these ruptured kernels, which then rotted and it made a mess. And that basically promoted fungus and pathogens to deal with. So Iowa State, of course, they'll go into these areas and they'll bring in experts and people in the field. And the derecho issue is a terrible event in itself, but you compound that by sometimes drought. And that's a unique situation that we've never had in Iowa. And there's going to be farmers that are going to be looking for advice on what to do.
I bet.
Do you try to harvest it? Do you not? There's a huge risk of equipment damage when you're trying to pick this stuff basically off the ground. Is there going to be value to it? What are the dockages going to be? Because a lot of this crop isn't going to mature properly. And then what do you do with it? So they're looking for advice. And unfortunately, I think in some of these areas, it probably, if it has not already, it'll probably be just destroyed, worked in the ground, dissed, and basically turned into mulch and right back into the ground. But some of it might be used for animal feed, like a silage type situation. Sure. Some will probably be harvested, and then what do you do with the crop that it produced? Because sometimes even being able to harvest that can create storage problems, and with lighter test weights and things, it can make that crop hard to store at home. So maybe it's something you don't want to tackle yourself, but unfortunately in a lot of these areas, a lot of the storage was destroyed also. So it's a bad situation. I mean, it's going to take some time and effort. You're just not going to be able to order a grain bin the next day and get it put in.
Not down there. There's so much. I mean, there are stacks of big branches in most of the streets in Cedar Rapids are waiting for the city or somebody to come along. And this is 3 weeks after the event, and there's still trees that have been uprooted and laying in somebody's front yard or sometimes on the corner of their house. They're still there because we can't find enough guys with saws and trucks to haul them off.
Yeah. And then you compound that. I think some of these big crews and stuff also got pulled off for the hurricanes in southern United States, and it's an ongoing thing. But it appears that we're getting through it. I think power. I still think there's probably some without power, but the vast majority do. And then in some of those counties too, it's just it's been a crazy year, and this just I guess is icing on the cake for what's going on.
Well, don't say that. Yeah, we still got 3 months to go.
We still got a while
4
to go.
months to go.
Yeah. What's next? But yeah. So again, Iowa State Extension, they always step up and we'll have meetings, in that area and on the border area here. You don't have to go very far south of here, and you'll start seeing some damage too. So around here, there is an occasional field did not stand very well. We still had very strong winds here, nothing like what they had a little bit south of here, but certain varieties definitely didn't stand as well as others. And this is a complex or a complicated time of year, probably one of the most complicated times of the year I consider in farming right now, because we're just getting into harvest. It's a very busy time of year for us as farmers, but we're already I've been on the phone with my agronomist, and we're already thinking about next year.
Sure. What else can you do?
I mean, we've got some plot days, and those are very unique this year. Usually it's a very hands-on, in-person thing. I've seen and heard of all different kinds, anything from a virtual plot day to very, I guess, COVID responsible plot days.
Sure.
Majority of farmers I know they want to see things in person, and these plots are where we get a chance to hear from the big companies and our agronomists, and we get to actually see plants and what they did. And this is a weird year to judge what plants did because of the dryness and drought, but it's still a time where we have to start making decisions now for next year, and we're not done with this year. So it's kind of a weird transition time. And there's going to be some complications. Again, we probably a month and a half ago, we talked about some of the litigation that went on in California with dicamba. Well, that's still all in limbo, and there's a possibility that seeds that we make decisions to buy now will not be approved come next spring. So we don't have all the pieces of the puzzle on how that's going to work. If the chemistry that, for some of the genetics is going to be available. It's a very unique time to try to navigate right now.
Sure. Yeah. What are the folks down around Lynn County going to do with that grain on the ground like that, or the corn stalks? The beans didn't escape completely, but they fared a lot better than the corn, of course.
Beans, I think visually look good, but I still think there's going to be quite a bit of loss to that.
There couldn't help but be loss.
Yeah, it definitely didn't help them. Yeah. We've had nothing. There's virtually been nothing that's helped much in Iowa the last few weeks between the heat and the wind event. But I'm going to say a lot of them, because of the level of crop insurance, a lot of the most damage will probably, the economics will probably warrant it being dissed in. And there is some advantage to that, because one of the discussions we'll be having with our agronomists on our operations is, as far as fertilizer and nutrients, what we use is recommended by Iowa State University. That's kind of the gold standard here in Iowa.
Yeah.
And they have what's called removal rates. And what we're measuring against is the amount of crop that we're taking off of the field. So the nutrients that we're removing, and that goes back into an equation of how much to put back on the field. So there's a responsible, conservation minded formula that we use to determine how much fertilizer we're putting out there. If you're not taking anything off the field, if you're not removing any crop, a lot of those nutrients will remain. So there's an economic benefit possibly to leave those crops and to diss them back into the soil. Mm-hmm. And again, you're if it's justified by the adjuster, we have adjusters that come out just like in a car, a car accident. You have an adjuster come out and look at the field. They will come out, and if they basically total the field out, then you would rely on your crop insurance payment and that's based on your 10-year average, and then at what level that you bought as an individual for the coverage. So that's in the most destructed areas. I'm assuming that's probably what will happen.
Sure. Yeah. Wow. I was shocked when I got down there. Again, it's something about seeing it in person.
I've only been as far south as I went through Luther, and that co-op, I think it was Heartland Co-op, had a facility there. It wasn't very old, and it looked like it was a toy set that was destroyed by Godzilla.
Wow.
I mean, it was just crumpled up. So it just looked really like what I've seen of tornado damage, really, because there was trees that were topped way up, and there's a lot of farmers that are one thing I've heard, there's farmers saying, well, what machine shed fared best or what grain bin fared best. I think at those wind levels, nothing stood a chance. But one of the common things that was said that definitely helped was windbreaks. And, so there's a natural defense that I guess we kind of sometimes, I know my parents we put a windbreak in, it's probably been 30 years ago. And it's something that I'm going to probably look at, adding to and, to make sure you have that windbreak, because that's a good natural defense against some winds.
We used to plant trees for that reason.
Sure.
And, the countryside.
We still do, but there's definitely a reason for windbreaks and whatnot. And that's been kind of what I've been hearing too, is the farmsteads with the windbreaks definitely fared the best. Now, some of these new grain structures are so tall, you can't grow trees that tall, of course. But for the average farmer, I think from what I'm reading, that's a pretty good first line of defense.
A lot of farm places used to have that northwest barrier. They'd build a kind of an L.
That's what we had, and a lot of times it would surround the cattle yard.
That was because that's where the wind was going to come.
That's where the wind was going to come,
and we don't want to get cattle killed in a snowstorm or anything else, or a bad wind come up on the house.
So, like I said, I try to look at what we can learn from these unfortunate deals, and that seems to me like a logical thing. That's it serves a lot of good purposes. So definitely. I mean, I've got one right now, but I might add to it a little bit. And
what sort of windbreak are you talking about?
Well, what I have,
not trees, obviously.
Yeah, what I have right now is trees, evergreens, and I might add some more. There's some faster growing trees, and just add to it. Because they don't last forever, and unfortunately that's what happens. Is a lot of these windbreaks get overgrown, and then they become a liability in themselves. So,
farmer just north of Humboldt has a double row of evergreen trees around the northwest of his house.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can drive a car through the trees. But the trees have grown in such a way that they're an excellent natural wind barrier.
Yep.
I mean, that's just terrific. It's really, somebody was really thinking there way back years ago.
So, but I'm glad you got to see it, because hopefully we never have to see anything like that again.
No, odds are we will. That was, the derecho was unusual.
We had one in 2011 though, from what I understand.
Really? Where was that at?
Here, right through here. That's when I bought my corn reel the last time around. And that was supposed to be kind of a storm of a lifetime and a unique event. So now I've seen two of them. I hope that's not indicating the frequency of these wind type events, but at the wind speeds they're talking, and I've heard they're even upping them a little bit more, getting into like Category 2 type hurricane winds. That's unfortunately, a lot of our structures are definitely not designed for that kind of winds, especially sustained. Those winds lasted for 30, 40 minutes, they weren't just gusts. It was a sustained thing. So, tremendous devastation, and it's going to take some time to tally up all the damage it did and to repair the damage that is there.
I was in Algona in 1979, the night a tornado hit there, the same night a tornado hit Manson.
Mm-hmm.
There's a road on the east side of Algona called McGregor Road, and we drove out there, but we had no idea. We had gone to a basement. Actually, we were in the bar and came home for more money. But anyway, we heard the wind go by, and we thought, no big deal. But we drove east on McGregor Road, and on one side, or on the south side of McGregor Road, is corn. On the north side is houses, a relatively new housing development at the time. We looked to the right because there was a huge tornado going across the field, and it was throwing stalks way up in the ground, way up in the air. We turned to the left, and all of those new homes were flat.
Yeah,
flat as far as the eye could see. It just
Yeah.
I have respected those storms ever since.
I remember the Manson tornado, and the tornado here in Fort Dodge is, was a real young kid. And then recently we had a tornado in Lake City. And the unique thing
Did we have a tornado in Lake City?
Yeah, probably 3-4 years ago. Hit the school in Lake City. But tornadoes are kind of a unique anomaly because they can destroy one house and completely leave another.
Yeah.
and how they randomly do their damage sometimes is mind-blowing, where this storm was just widespread and complete sustained winds. So different, similar, but very different.
Yeah, I just respect them. I was here in town, of course, in my house when that derecho came through here. And I thought, wow, my house was creaking. It wasn't that old a house either.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect, and we didn't get anything like the other places.
The derecho effect, along with the drought, has done. We've lost about 24 points in our crop conditions, which has definitely gotten the national attention. And one of the reasons why we have seen kind of a little spike in the markets right now, which is I think it's the biggest change. I think they did 10 points right after the derecho. They did another 9 after we didn't get those rains last week, and I think this week we lost another 5 points. So we're definitely taking the top end off of this crop right now.
Wow.
In a hurry. So we almost need to get harvested because we can't afford to lose anymore.
Well, it sounds like it's going to happen pretty soon.
Yes.
You think you're going to be in the beans next week?
I'm thinking some of my earliest beans will be in next week. Our heat units, I think your earlier corn, that's what we would reference right now as black layered. That is basically mature. Mature black layered or mature corn in the state right now, I seen a rating at about 11%. Normally, we're not even registered on that right now, 1% at the most. So it's a good 7-10, you could almost argue 2 weeks ahead of schedule on some of that. So once it gets to that black layer or physical maturity, then depending on the weather, it can take it has to dry down a little bit, and then what you choose to harvest it at. So it's usually in the high 20s for moisture, maybe around 30% moisture. And some guys will start harvesting in the high 20s. A lot of guys will wait to the low 20s. And just depending on the weather is how fast it dries down.
The mantra has always been leave it out there as long as you can, save your drying costs. But I don't know about this year. It's probably as dry as it could be.
Economic-wise, we want to. But, again, these stocks are compromised, so
Right.
you might not want to leave it out. So
Steve Peterson is our guest, and this segment brought to you by the Webster County Farm Bureau. We'll be back after the news with Steve Peterson. It's 3 o'clock.
From tuning an engine to replacing a fuse, you can learn it all under the hood. Heard every Saturday afternoon from 2 till 4 on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD, Fort Dodge.
A pledge to pick up the phone. Lisa Brady, Fox News. A renewed White House push for coronavirus relief is apparently on the way. Fox's Jared Halpern has this live.
The Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin says he will try to jumpstart talks on a coronavirus stimulus package. Testifying for the House Select Subcommittee on the coronavirus crisis, Mnuchin said a bipartisan agreement needs to be reached to provide substantial funds. Mnuchin had been involved with talks with White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, but those talks broke down weeks ago. Pelosi has said Democrats will reduce a package to $2.2 trillion. Republicans have balked that total is too high. Lisa.
Thanks, Jared. Mnuchin stressing, though, that the president wants to move forward with additional fiscal response to the pandemic. He also says details on an eviction moratorium are coming later today, aimed at helping nearly 40 million renters in the U.S., as Mnuchin also urges Congress to provide rental assistance. President Trump, meantime, holding a law enforcement roundtable in Kenosha, Wisconsin, after seeing some of the damage from recent riots after the shooting of Jacob Blake by police, while the president continues to denounce violence during protests in other cities as well.
Violent mobs demolished or damaged at least 25
businesses, burned down public buildings, and threw bricks at police officers, which your police officers won't stand for, and they didn't stand for it. These are not acts of peaceful protest, but really domestic terror.
Joe Biden accusing the administration of making it harder to vote.
When you and I get elected, God willing, we're going to push hard to make voting election day a national holiday so people don't have to take off work.
Absolutely.
There should be same-day registration.
He and running mate Kamala Harris appearing together but social distancing for an online event today. America is listening to Fox News.
Hey, you should move over. Red right return.
Right, red right return.
No, just red right return because
No,
you're...
I'm saying red right return, but then right to agree.
Okay, but you're on the...
I should have said correct. I know it's red right return, but...
You're on the left and it's red right return. Red right return.
Tides can turn quick on the water. Progressive has you covered as a leader in boat insurance. Get a quote today at progressive.com.
Oh, I was on the left. Right.
Please stop talking.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Who is your wireless provider? AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile? The average person is saving $400 a year by switching to Pure Talk USA. Pure Talk is on the same network, same towers, just 50% off in terms of price. Right now, get unlimited talk, text, and 2 gigs of data for just $20 a month. Switch to Pure Talk today. Now, from your cell phone, dial pound 250 and say Pure Radio. That's pound 250, Pure Radio, Pure Talk USA. Simply smarter wireless.
The Manhattan DA can't have access to the president's tax returns. A federal appeals court blocking it for now as the larger fight over access continues.
The judges panel of the Second Circuit Court of Appeals delayed DA Cyrus Vance Jr.'s access to the tax records. His inquiry stemmed from payments made by former Trump attorney Michael Cohen to porn actress Stormy Daniels to silence her about an alleged sexual relationship prior to the 2016 election. President Trump has denied the encounter. The U.S. Supreme Court did not block the New York DA's subpoena, but also ruled the president could challenge on other grounds. The president's lawyers argue irreparable harm could come from seeing those returns.
Fox's Gernal Scott. A new federal lawsuit accuses McDonald's of discrimination against more than 50 Black former franchise owners who say the company steered them to less profitable restaurants, inner city locations with higher security costs that also needed renovations. They also say McDonald's didn't offer them the same financial benefits white franchisees were given. The chain released a statement this summer in support of Black Lives Matter. Cartoons at the center of a killing spree in France get reprinted.
Controversial caricatures of the Prophet Muhammad, which drew threats from jihadists, back in print 5 years after deadly terror attacks in France on the offices of Charlie Hebdo and a kosher grocery. The satirical magazine rerunning the cartoons to mark the start of the trial Wednesday of 14 people accused of helping in the 2015 attacks, which left 17 dead, including some of the country's leading cartoonists. Some consider the republishing a provocation, but others say it's in defense of free expression. Charlie Hebdo's editor writing, "We will never lie down. We will never give up." Lillian Wu, Fox News.
The Dow up 215 at the closing bell. I'm Lisa Brady, and this is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Partly cloudy skies this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 77. Winds out of the south 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 52. Tonight, mainly clear. 88 tomorrow, mainly clear skies. Upper 70s Thursday, turning much warmer on Friday with highs in the mid-80s. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 71.
We stand for people, progress and pride.
We're the Iowa Farm Bureau, and we support farm families. We're a voice on local, state, and national issues. We're also committed to making rural Iowa a better place to live and keeping Iowa farm families on the farm.
People, progress and pride, it's true. Iowa Farm Bureau, helping you.
Always get your go-to with the new $10 Tastemaker from Pizza Hut. A large pizza with up to 3 toppings for just $10. Choose contactless delivery or curbside pickup at pizzahut.com. Price higher in some locations. Limited time offer. Availability of contactless curbside and delivery areas. Charges and minimums vary. Delivery charge not tipped.
Hi, I'm Bruce Fabrizio, inventor of Simple Green, the iconic cleaning formula known around the globe. Try a Simple Green product today, and if you're not 100% satisfied, I'll refund your money. Visit us at simplegreen.com.
Simple Green.
Michael Devine at AM 1400.
In the name of justice and the American way of life.
With 60 rounds of freedom.
With the KVFD Sports Report, I'm Rob Jones. From Radio Iowa Sports, Iowa State will allow 25,000 fans at the Cyclone home opener against Louisiana on September 12th. ISU Athletic Director Jamie Pollard says there will be no tailgating allowed and fans will be required to wear face coverings.
And what better opportunity for our fans to shine? We do a great job in showing how good we are at bowl games. We did a great job with game day. We do a great job with game attendance. Let's show the country that Ames, Iowa, and Iowa State Cyclone fans can nail this.
The stadium will be mapped out to allow for social distancing, and Pollard says if fans do not follow protocols, the October 4th game against Oklahoma could be played without fans at Jack Trice.
Do your part, and let's see if we can make this happen. And if we can make it happen, it could be an incredible success story. And if it just ends up being, for whatever reason, lack of compliance or our mitigation strategies just don't work, okay, then we got to pull the plug. And but I'll know we tried.
Catch every single game of the 2020 Iowa State football season on your home for the Iowa State Cyclones, True Country 540 KWMT. The University of Iowa Athletic Department has announced that it's pausing workouts for all its teams until the day after Labor Day. The announcement was made due to rising COVID-19 concerns on campus. Dr. Andrew Peterson, an Iowa professor and head team physician, said, quote, due to the recent increase in cases in the community, we've made the decision to pause voluntary and mandatory workouts until after Labor Day. We remain confident in our overall process, including testing, contact tracing, and daily health screening, end quote. As part of the return to campus protocol, the University of Iowa conducted over 800 COVID-19 tests last week. 93 of those tests were positive and 722 came back negative. The University of Iowa's protocol also includes isolation for people who test positive and quarantine for those who might have been exposed to someone with the virus. And that's your afternoon sports report for Divine Intervention with Mike Devine on KVFD. AM 1400.
Thank you, Rob. It's 3:09. Steve Peterson of the Farm Bureau coming up.
Hiring can be challenging, but ZipRecruiter makes it fast and easy. We talked to Monica Starks, who needed to hire for her company, GS Group.
As the owner of a construction company, finding the right people is a very difficult task. So I use ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter finds the right people for your job and actively invites them to apply.
With ZipRecruiter, we've hired everyone from accountants to project managers to field scientists.
And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/search. That's ZipRecruiter.com/search.
Michael Devine.
You're very clever, my charming little friend.
With more stimulating talk radio.
But not clever enough.
Oh, yes, I am. I'm clever enough. There's no doubt about it. Steve Peterson is here with the Webster County Farm Bureau, this part of the program. Brought to you by the Webster County Farm Bureau. And it's incredible that we're talking harvest, but when you look at the calendar and see September 1st, it's not unusual at all. I mean, this is normal. This is what happens in our lives. I guess we just didn't have much of a spring and summer because of that doggone COVID.
I think, my grandpa and they used to talk about the 1936. That was always the year they've referenced.
Worst, yeah, my dad did too.
That was
terrible.
The
winter.
worst drought and the worst winter, all wrapped into one. So every year was referenced to 36. I'm afraid this generation, hopefully, we talk about 2020.
I think you're probably right.
So good times ahead, because I can't believe it can get as much crazier than this year. And it seems like we started off pretty good, and then we got to about March, and then it just all seems a blur from then on. So,
yeah, that's right.
But ag's been a challenge. China again, they've been on a buying frenzy, and agricultural goods. It's kind of something that happened, and I had to check just before I came up here because they still weren't sure. China bought 596 million tons yesterday, and then they bought the exact same amount of corn today. And
500 million tons?
Yeah, it's about 23.5 million bushels of corn. What a metric by the time you do the conversion. So they bought 23.5 million bushels of corn yesterday. Today, it's like someone hit the enter key again, and they did the exact same buy today.
3 days in a row?
2 days in a row.
2 days.
But they had the market so confused because they thought it was a mistake. They were just finally verifying that this happened. It was about 1 o'clock today.
Mm-hmm.
The traders were still not sure if this was just a mistake and someone doubled entered it, but they came back the very next day and bought the same again. So they've been aggressively buying here in the last few weeks. I think there's a lot of hope. The Chinese and the Americans, they sat down, kind of had a little powwow about the trade going forward, and with all the hype and hysteria that's been in some of the news cycles, I think it's business going ahead, and it looks, I'd say right now it looks like China will probably meet. It's looking very good that they're going to meet the obligations that they promised in that phase one trade deal that they signed this last spring. So, it's pretty encouraging, I guess.
Well, this is such a hyper-political season. We have all these things going on in a presidential election.
Sure.
So is this something that we can credit to President Trump and his team, or do we give credit just to, or not credit, but do we just mark this up to the Chinese needing this much corn?
I think this is a direct effect of the trade one, the phase one trade agreement that was put forward by this administration.
Okay.
Definitely in there. I believe the phase two part of it, which there's more to come, but the agricultural component was definitely in the phase one.
Right.
And I'm sure the Chinese, are also looking at these levels. These were buys. I mean, they're consumer basically, just like the rest of us, and they're looking at these markets, and these were pretty good buys. But it definitely is. Seeing a slight uptick. We've probably gotten about 30 cents in the last few weeks on corn, which is a very welcome by the American farmer. I would like to see some more yet, but we have a lot of grain in our inventory, and we need these sales. So it's been a good thing, and I think they've done some pretty sizable purchases on both beef and pork still. So they're definitely moving in the right direction, I'd say.
I know you don't like to talk politics when it's Farm Bureau time, and I respect that. I would ask you if Farm Bureau has made, the State Farm Bureau or Webster County, does make any difference, if they have made a decision, as we're only about 7 weeks away here.
Yes.
If they have decided that it would be better to return the Republicans to the White House or the Democrats. I mean, there's arguments to be made on both sides. That's for sure.
There is, and basically what our position, and I have to apologize. I do not have those. I can assume what they are, but what we do as an organization, because we are not necessarily Republican or Democrat organization. We look at candidates on strictly their voting record in relationship to issues that affect agriculture. So it's a very black and white exercise is what's gone through. And then we look, so our county Farm Bureau here in Webster County, we look at the candidates that represent us here, and then we will weigh it all the way up to the state level. And I locally, I'm sure I can go out and I'll go out on a limb here. I don't think it's too far of a limb. Representative Ann Meyer, I'm assuming will meet the criteria of a friend of agriculture. That's what we designated at. And Mike Sexton and Tim Kreinbrink's not up for re-election this time, but based on their voting record, I would assume that would be the case. So on the like side, though, I have heard a little bit, so like California Farm Bureau, they have a record on the vice president candidate Harris, and that they will rate her. I have heard.
Was she supportive of agriculture? California's a big agriculture state. It really is.
Yeah. I just got a message here. We'll officially announce our friend of agriculture is on Labor Day is when it will come out. But that's how we determine that designation. So again, we don't get party affiliated or whatnot. It's purely based on the voting record.
Yeah.
And but it's everything is weighed, and then we put that out for our members to make a decision. So it's a very
it's a democratic process, isn't it?
Exactly. And it's we don't put any lipstick on pigs on this deal or anything like that. It's record only.
Well, somebody ought to tell the Republicans and Democrats this is a democratic process. They're trying to kill each other, for God's sake. I guess that's the way we play the game in 2020. I mean, maybe it's always going on.
Well, as has been referenced, election have consequences, and
they sure do.
And and a Farm Bureau will go out and will educate our position on issues and put the facts out, as they lie. I know watching some of the national, I watch ethanol, that's always a topic, and I'll criticize the Trump administration. It seems like they say one thing and they do another when it comes to these RIN waivers. There's a whole stack of them again up, and you'd think that would get done. But on the other side, the other party, in one breath, they want to get rid of every type of fuel, and they want to get rid of fracking and things like that. And then on the other side, they say they're for it. So it's hard.
They do want to get rid of everything, dreams, hopes, or manhood. The whole
it's
thing.
Tough to navigate through. I'm personally, I'm a believer that, I think at some point the petroleum industry and the ethanol industry, we need to learn to coexist a little better together, because we need each other. One without the other, so hopefully it becomes less of a political issue in the future.
Yeah. Well, it'll be kind of interesting to see how that all shakes loose. If there's one thing I haven't heard much about, and I've really been listening for it, it's agriculture policy. I listened to the Democratic Party debates. I listened to both conventions. I didn't hear anything about agricultural policy.
There's really, in my personal view, there's not a lot of being talked about of anything other than a few social issues.
Yeah, a few social issues.
They dominate the deal. No one seems to really care about deficits. I haven't heard too much talk about that.
I was trying to be nice, Steve. Everybody accuses me of being so nasty, and I can get nasty pretty easy. But the conventions were spent beating each other up and didn't tell us a thing.
Get back to Iowa though, and it's not necessarily politics, but the governor Reynolds did get $100 million from the Federal CARES Act, and she Farm Bureau really, I think, supports how she's decided to divvy this up. And it's a pretty fair deal. $60 million is going to go into the Iowa Livestock Producer Relief Fund. And I think what really kind of gets us excited about it is it's broken up into $10,000 grants. So it's not going to your big producers. It's really designed to go to the small farmer producer type thing. When you're capping it at $10,000, it hopefully will filter through to help a lot of the smaller producers. There's $15.5 million going to the biofuel grant program, which is for our biorefineries here in the state of Iowa. That'll be both biodiesel and ethanol. The $7 million to the renewable fuel retail program that has to do with blender pumps and promoting And then $6 million is going into the Iowa Beginning Farmer debt relief. So that directly will help the young farmers that have gotten in trouble in these times. And then $2 million is going into the meat processing development. And that's your small meat packing, which has gotten a lot of praise here when we had some disruptions in the meat chains. And, every small town had a butcher shop not that long ago. And that's really become kind of a hidden treasure in Iowa now, the ones that we do have. And so there's some money put to there. So, and then there's $500,000 in the farm produce and protein program, which is to help specialty ag producers and schools and whatnot. So she's taken this chunk of money that really was, there was, I'm sure there was a lot of people that were more than willing to take it off her hands, but she's come forward with a package that we feel is very a diverse approach and will help those most in need here with this money. And this is from the CARES Act. So you gotta, there's a lot of talk about all this money they're trying to do. Again, they haven't spent all the money they had from the first time around. So this was out of the first chunk of money, and this isn't even spent yet. So I think it is somewhat premature right now to try to get more money when we haven't really distributed the last of it.
What I'm really concerned about in this election is where ethanol policy is going to go. That Trump has not produced.
Ethanol is going to, the next administration, ethanol will definitely be at a very unique situation. The RFS, the Renewable Fuel Standard.
Right.
Now that started out, there was subsidies for plants and this and that. So there was subsidies. Now in the legislation that was passed, and this was the written blueprint of how this was going to work, those subsidies did expire. So they went away. A lot of people you hear of it being subsidized. There is no subsidies. There was originally, but those sunsetted after a few years of getting going. What lies right now was there was a blueprint of basically limits and targets that we were to hit as a nation of blending renewable fuels into the petroleum marketplace. The renewable identification numbers was intended to be a mechanism that if a refinery got into some financial hardships, that they could basically waive these blending requirements. Well, what it's become is a cesspool of loopholes for these for these refineries and these oil companies who somehow can show massive profits, but yet declare that they have hardships, which is a little tough to swallow for a lot of people if you really dig in the weeds and find out what's going on. But they've found out how to manipulate this system.
Yeah, they did.
In my view.
And there's certainly collusion in the Trump administration.
Well, there's something going on somewhere, because they seem to keep rattling these things off. Now that legislation, the Renewable Fuel Standard, is set to expire is not probably a good word, but the letter of the law that's on the paper, it kind of runs its course, I believe, in 2022. Mm-hmm. So it'll be smack dab in the middle of the next administration of the course to take next. And the blending requirements, which were right now on paper and they can't seem to follow, are then going to be at the discrepancy of the EPA director, which the next administration will choose, the Secretary of Agriculture, which the next administration will choose, and the energy Department of Energy guy, which the next administration will choose. So those three people, which the Ag Secretary, I would hope, would have the best interests of agriculture, and the other two, the EPA directors, even under the previous administration, they don't seem to necessarily always have the environment in best interest, or questionable. So the next administration, whoever it may be, is going to have a tremendous power to guide this path forward, and completely unknown because we're going to be basically going off script.
Sure.
So the renewable fuel standard was its intent was to establish a robust renewable energy infrastructure and products and move this country forward in a cleaner, energy independent and better direction. That was the intent of the spirit of the law, I guess.
Right.
So, there's a lot on the plate for ethanol and agriculture as a whole in the next administration.
I keep thinking that in 1995, a bushel of corn was like $1.80, $1.90. A couple of years later, it was $3, $4, $5, you know, and that was mainly because of ethanol.
It was, I think, in 2007 when it came in, and
2007, what?
When the renewable fuel standard came in.
Okay.
Yeah, and then corn kind of, and it probably went too far, and it was a perfect storm. We had a short crop, and we had all this newfound demand. And we started farming all these acres.
Yes, you did.
And the United States agriculture, the farmer, we got real good at growing corn. Prior to that, I don't remember a lot of corn on corn acres here in Webster County, Iowa. And then once we got ethanol, it seemed like we got a lot of corn on corn. That spearheaded, we needed more corn acres. We needed a cheaper source of fertilizer. And then we had a lot of distillers grain to get rid of. And then we kind of grew the hog industry. And this whole thing has blossomed into, a very diverse enterprise here locally in Iowa. So It's going to be hard to take one component out of that now without disrupting the whole thing.
Well, I've just become so distrustful, Steve. I've just become really distrustful. I don't know where we're going here.
Yeah, but
that's my problem.
But like I said, the next administration is going to have a lot of latitude on where we go forward.
Yes, it is. Steve Peterson's been our guest in this portion of the program, brought to you by the Webster County Farm Bureau. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Mike.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. News is next.
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
It's 3:29.
When severe weather threatens, keep it here for the Severe Weather Advisor, brought to you by Riley Armstrong Plumbing and Heating. Plumbing emergencies don't usually happen during normal business hours, so Riley Armstrong is here for you 24/7. Call 955-2232. And the Fort Museum in Frontier Village, where history comes alive. Travel back in time and celebrate the heritage of Fort Dodge at the Fort Museum. Book your next special event at the Opera House, too. When severe weather threatens, stay with your friends on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD.
When you're stressed, you just don't feel like yourself. New Natral Relaxia, a full line of drug-free supplements to help you manage occasional stress and anxiety. A special blend of herbals keeps you feeling calm and balanced throughout the day. Because when there's less stress, there's more you. Try new Natral Relaxia. Learn more at relaxiamood.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
From the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones. A Webster County man has entered a not guilty plea to a murder charge. 43-year-old Fort Dodge resident Justin Hurdle is charged with first-degree murder after police say he killed his estranged wife, Maggie Plint. The alleged incident happened August 5th, and Hurdle was arrested on August 6th. Police located him after a search of over 16 hours. According to court documents, Hurdle had been charged with domestic assault on Plint in the past, and Plint had told police of threats on her life made by Hurdle last fall. Hurdle entered a not guilty plea on Monday to first-degree murder. Test results have determined that a fire that destroyed the Oasis nightclub in Storm Lake was set intentionally. Radio Iowa's Ryan Thompson has more.
Samples were removed from the floor of the stage where the fire is believed to have started and were taken to the state crime lab to be evaluated. Gasoline was found to be present in the samples tested. The fire occurred late in the night on August 8th. Firefighters located the fire burning in the area of the stage at the east end of the building. The Oasis nightclub will not be reopening due to the extent of damage. Anyone who may have information about the fire is asked to contact the Storm Lake Police Department. For Radio Iowa from Storm Lake, I'm Ryan Thompson.
The City of Fort Dodge Public Works Department and Sanitation Division has announced due to the Labor Day holiday, Monday, September 7th, that garbage collection routes for the City of Fort Dodge will undergo some changes. Residents that normally have theirs collected on Monday will be collected Tuesday, September 8th. Those normally collected on Tuesdays will be collected on Thursday, September 10th. Wednesday, September 9th will be the normal schedule. And those citizens that have theirs picked up on Thursdays will be collected on Friday, September 11th. The central maintenance facility will be closed for yard waste disposal on Monday, September 7th. Curbside yard waste will not be picked up on Friday, September 11th. The Sanitation Division asks residents to place their trash and recycling out for collection by 6 a.m. on the scheduled day of pickup. For more information, visit FortDodgeIowa.org. From Radio Iowa Sports, Iowa State will allow 25,000 fans at the Cyclone home opener against Louisiana on September 12th. ISU Athletic Director Jamie Pollard says there will be no tailgating allowed and fans will be required to wear face coverings.
And what better opportunity for our fans to shine? We do a great job in showing how good we are at bowl games. We did a great job with game day. We do a great job with game attendance. Let's show the country that Ames, Iowa, and Iowa State Cyclone fans can nail this.
The stadium will be mapped out to allow for social distancing, and Pollard says if fans do not follow protocols, the October 4th game against Oklahoma could be played without fans at Jack Trice.
Do your part, and let's see if we can make this happen. And if we can make it happen, it could be an incredible success story. And if it just ends up being, for whatever reason, lack of compliance or our mitigation strategies just don't work, okay, then we got to pull the plug. And but I'll know we tried.
Catch every single game of the 2020 Iowa State football season on your home for the Iowa State Cyclones, True Country 540 KWMT. That's your Alpha Media News Update from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom. I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Partly cloudy skies this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 77. Winds out of the south 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows sit down to about 52. Tonight, mainly clear. 88 tomorrow, mainly clear skies. Upper 70s. Thursday, turning much warmer on Friday with highs in the mid-80s. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 70.
Sports Report, I'm Rob Jones. From Radio Iowa Sports, Iowa State will allow 25,000 fans at the Cyclone home opener against Louisiana on September 12th. ISU Athletic Director Jamie Pollard says there will be no tailgating allowed and fans will be required to wear face coverings.
And what better opportunity for our fans to shine? We do a great job in showing how good we are at bowl games. We did a great job with game day. We do a great job with game attendance. Let's show the country that Ames, Iowa, and Iowa State Cyclone fans can nail this.
The stadium will be mapped out to allow for social.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. September corn up a penny at $3.49.5. December up a quarter cent at $3.58. March corn up a quarter penny at $3.67 and May up a half a cent at $3.74.5. September soybeans up 3 3/4 at $9.55. November up 1 1/4 at $9.54 3/4. January up 1 1/4 at $9.61. March up 2 cents at $9.61 3/4. September wheat wheat up 11.5 at 555 3/4. Soybean meal down 180 a ton at 302.80. October live cattle up 17 cents at 105.47. December up 17 at 109.15. September feeder cattle down 17 cents at 140.12. October up 2 at 140.65. October lean hogs up 142 at 55.02, and December up 65 cents at 55.77. I'm Dwayne Murley.
Fish oil supplements. What are they good for? Hi, I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield. First of all, consult with your healthcare provider before you take any fish oil supplements. High doses of fish oil can cause excessive bleeding. According to WebMD, the healthy fatty acids in fish oils are effective for reducing high triglycerides in the blood that are associated with heart disease and untreated diabetes. They are likely effective in preventing heart disease in people who are free of heart disease, and they may lower the risk of dying in people who already have heart disease. WebMD says fish oil is possibly effective for reducing high blood pressure, treating rheumatoid arthritis, diminishing menstrual pain, helping children with ADHD better focus, reduce the risk of stroke and hardening of the arteries, and improve the rate of bone loss and increase bone density. Fish oil capsules contain DHA and EPA, the fatty acids from fatty fish, especially salmon, mackerel, and tuna. But the amount of DHA and EPA in a 1,000 milligram capsule may only contain 300 milligrams of the two combined. Fish oil supplements should be from harvested cold water fish and processed by established companies who certify their products are free from heavy metals. University of Missouri Extension nutritionist Tammy Roberts says it may just be easier to eat fatty fish twice a week to receive health benefits. I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield.
Right now, we all might feel a little disconnected. For seniors living alone with smaller social circles, feelings of loneliness and isolation can feel overwhelming. But there's something we can all do to help. Connect with your older loved one virtually and have the conversation of a lifetime with StoryCorps Connect. Anyone can conduct an interview, and every interview will be archived at the Library of Congress, becoming part of American history. Connect, honor, share at StoryCorpsConnect.org/AARP. A message from AARP, StoryCorps, and the Ad Council.
America, your children have an amazing superpower. That's right. They can help save lives by simply washing their hands. Just 20 seconds of thorough hand washing after they've coughed or sneezed or been outside can help fight against the dastardly spread of germs. Armed with only soap and water and hands, your superhero can protect you, your family, and everyone out there in America land. Amazing! Find out more at coronavirus.gov. A message from the CDC and the Ad Council.
Always get your go-to with the new $10 tastemaker from Pizza Hut. A large pizza with up to 3 toppings for just $10. Choose contactless delivery or curbside pickup at pizzahut.com. Price higher in some locations. Limited time offer. Availability of contactless curbside and delivery areas. Charges and minimums vary. Delivery charge not tipped.
Hi, I'm Bruce Fabrizio, inventor of Simple Green, the iconic cleaning formula known around the globe. Try a Simple Green product today, and if you're not 100% satisfied, I'll refund your money. Visit us at simplegreen.com.
Simple Green.
Day in, day out, Iowa farmers work hard, and they deserve a senator who works as hard as they do. Senator Ernst claims she supports our ethanol industry.
I have been engaged in this, like I said, for at least a decade.
But she's taken millions from corporate PACs, including big oil companies trying to undermine ethanol. Now we learn that while Ernst has been talking tough on ethanol, she took big campaign contributions from an oil company CEO seeking RFS waivers. So it's no wonder that Ernst voted to put one of their own, a fossil fuel lobbyist, in charge of the EPA, even though he promised to continue approving RFS waivers. And sure enough, he devastated our ethanol industry. We need a senator who puts Iowa first.
I'm Teresa Greenfield, and I don't take a dime of corporate PAC money because we need a senator who works for Iowa. I'm Teresa Greenfield, running for Senate, and I approve this message. Paid for by Teresa Greenfield for Iowa.
Michael Devine at AM 1400.
In the name of justice and the American way of life.
With 60 rounds of freedom.
That's right. We have 60 rounds of freedom with us at all times. And Jim Kirsten today from Iowa Central. How are you, Jim?
Good.
Mike, thanks for having me.
Oh, certainly, anytime. This is the usual time that Jim Kirsten is on every week, about 3:40 on Tuesday. If you're a Jim Kirsten fan, you want to put that on your calendar. There we go.
Or you want to just get, mad.
Or if you want to avoid it, yeah, that's also a time. I suppose some people tune into this program to hear Rush Limbaugh, who's my warm-up act, and then when they hear me, they cut it right off. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jim Kirsten's our guest, and of course, Jim is a Republican, and I'm a little worn out by the campaign season for president we've had. Jim, I think we should talk as election day is 7 weeks out.
Yeah.
We should talk about how the results of the election will affect Iowa. I just had Steve Peterson on with the Farm Bureau. And of course, our farmers are not happy with the Trump administration's handling of the renewable fuel standards and what it means for ethanol.
I agree, and it adversely affects Iowa Central's fuel lab.
Sure, I bet it
we
does.
test all the biodiesel and ethanol, and to me, it just baffles me because the president said in Gowrie at Poet he would make sure we preserve that, and he now hasn't been able to overcome the EPA bureaucrats, and I'm just hoping for an October surprise or something that will come in and at least correct it going forward, even though it's done damage in the past. So with all the things happening to agriculture today, this is something the president must try to deliver.
Well, Steve Peterson did point out that yesterday the Chinese bought half a billion bushels of corn, and they did the same thing today. Now that goes back to an earlier trade agreement that was put together by the Trump administration.
Yeah, so those things are good, but the domestic policy now is hurting him, and I hope again he can resolve that very easily by getting the EPA to do what they need to do. And I know that the Farm Bureau and all the others, including senators and bipartisan senators, Democrat and Republican, are trying to convince him we got to do this for rural America.
Oh, without a doubt, rural America put him in the White House in the first place.
Yep.
Wasn't Los Angeles or San Francisco.
Nope, or Spokane or anyway. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But I think in general, it's going to be a very tightening race. They knew that from day one, and now it's going to be up to each party to get their activists to vote, whether by absentee or in person, and let the chips fall where they may, and we'll see who wins.
Do you think the Trump administration and the Democratic National Committee have about the same money, or does one have more than the other?
I don't know about the committees, but I know both the candidates are raising significant money themselves. And then you have all these super PACs that are separate that I think are really corrupting American politics. But the law is the law, and the Supreme Court's ruled they're legal. So this is unfortunate. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of money, and a friend of mine used to be the CFO at Meredith Publishing in Des Moines, and they owned about 30 TV stations. And they ironically owned them in key election states that were competitive. And their bottom line profits just skyrocketed each election cycle because of all the money spent on advertising on TV. So I think you'll see a lot more TV ads, both from both the presidential and Senator Ernst and the Greenfield campaign.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be the case. They're spending a little money with us here at the radio station. I don't know why they don't spend more with radio. We can keep hitting it all day long for a lot less than TV and the Messenger. But they seem to be more sold on online advertising.
Yeah, social media and all that.
Social media, all that sort of thing. And I don't know if that has big influence in Iowa. I haven't seen any studies on that. I would love to see that. But
no, I think you're right. I think particularly in the rural part of the state, the KWMT type stations and WHO reach a lot of, and KVFD in a smaller region, but all of them reach hundreds, if not thousands of people. And farmers particularly listen to when they're in their combines. So
certainly
we'll see how, again, the message transpires and if something can be done on that renewable fuel issue.
Well, again, Steve Peterson did mention to me that, what was I going to say now? What did Steve say? That his group had not made a determination as to whether or to which party they would back or which candidate they would back. But he did tell me that they'll make that decision on Labor Day. And that's always a pretty big endorsement one way or the other.
Yeah.
The Farm Bureau endorsement.
Absolutely.
And the pork producers as well. So, I don't think that internet advertising is that effective out here.
No.
But I haven't seen any research to back it up either way.
No, I just have seen some polls that show it is the race is tightening, especially in those battleground states. So I think it's going to be, for those that like to watch politics, it's going to be a very interesting campaign to watch.
Sure is. I was, I'm sure you caught part of the DNC convention.
Sure. Yeah.
And the Republican National Committee as well. I watched as much of it as I could stand. And
yeah,
because it's a big cheerleading session. That's the way it's supposed to be. I certainly watched Joe Biden in his acceptance speech, and I watched Donald Trump in his. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is I didn't hear any agriculture policy coming out of either one of those camps. That was very disappointing.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I didn't hear it out of either one, and I think again they're probably depending on their micro, advertising to those markets. But at least a global mention would have been much better.
Well, yeah, it would. And I know they're getting ready to spend a lot of money because the big money always comes in right before the election and saturates every advertising outlet that there is.
Yes.
And I assume that they're about to push the button on that. Whatever reserves they have, they're going to go all in here pretty soon. Probably the last month is when they'll hit it the hardest. But it's time to decide what to do with the ag sector. And whether the ag sector is important to the Republican Party. Here in Iowa it is, whether it is nationally, I don't know.
Right. And I made me think of this. I don't know. Can you vote now at the courthouse before the election, or do you have to wait till when they send out absentee ballots on October 5th?
I think one of the supervisors is coming in right after 4 o'clock. I don't know. They probably do.
Okay, that'd be helpful to know.
Yeah, that would be. I don't know. I'm old-fashioned, Jim. I'm a traditionalist. I go over election day and vote.
yeah, exactly. And I just wanted, I had to go down there to pay property taxes. So I'm going to, vote if I can. But if not, I'll do it in the precinct.
Yeah, if I find myself in the courthouse before election day, I'll probably take advantage of that myself.
Okay.
What did Pate ever decide to do, or what did the state of Iowa ever decide to do with mail-in ballots? Paul Pate made a ruling, and then the Democrats sued him.
I think it's still in court, and I can't remember what the court. I think the court's hearing the case right now, and then the decision we made. I saw Paul Pate on Iowa Press the other night, and he said that absentee ballot is fine because it's easier to validate the person with the various requirements for identification. These submit the mail-in ballot are pre-filled out by those county auditors, and I guess they're saying the Iowa law doesn't allow that. I just don't know the details of the law, so I think the court's going to have to clarify that soon.
Well, I want all the folks out the Friendship Haven, just for an example, to be able to vote. I hate to see someone who's elderly and infirm not be allowed to vote or can't vote. That would stink. On the other hand, if there are a lot of people out there that don't really want to vote for one reason or another, too lazy maybe, why are we dragging them into this? I mean, I don't know. It's this election particularly, and this year particularly, have made no sense to me, Jim.
No, and it's going to be, again, very tight, and I'm hopeful that regardless of what happens, our country can get back on track. We got a big problem facing us economically and health-wise, and it's not a partisan issue. It's an American issue, and hopefully we can come together.
We're going to vote. You are going to vote Republican, right, Jim?
Well, I don't tell people on the radio how I'm going to vote, but
come on!
I
what are you? Are you going to tell me you're going to vote for Joe Biden?
I'm not going to say, Mike. I told you that before. I'm not going to take a public stand, but we have a debate internally at our house. Some are concerned about both parties, and I just sit back and listen, and we'll see what the cards draw.
Some guy on the radio, Jim? I'm hurt.
Well, I just don't want to get into the fray right now.
All right. Okay. Is there a time before the election that you will, or you just?
I doubt it. I just don't do my
it.
job, and I'm trying to do my job, and of course I supported candidates in the past more privately than publicly, and and I'll continue to do that, but not in a public manner with my job.
Okay. Did you vote for yourself when you ran for office?
I did. Actually, someone sent me a picture that was on Facebook that was posted by Rod Halverson of myself back in 1992 with Rod in the floor of the Iowa Senate.
Really?
And that's when I had a lot more hair. So, but yeah, I'm sure I did, because I only won by, a slim margin when I was able to win that race. So
you had a tough opponent. That was Joe Coleman. He'd been.
Well, yeah, he wasn't going to run against me. And I had lunch with him, and he said, "Nope, I'm not running." My wife and I decided we're moving back to Fort Dodge, and we're done after 34 years. I said, "Well, if that's the case, then I'm getting married, and we're going to move to Fort Dodge, and I'm going to settle down there." And we did, and he ended up changing his mind, and I was like, "Oh boy, now what do I do?"
Well,
and I luckily prevailed, and it was an interesting race.
That was 1990.
90, yeah.
Wow.
30 some years ago.
Isn't that wild? Oh God, it's been that long already.
Yeah. Puts things in perspective.
Time marches on, Jim.
Yep.
Time marches on. So what's going on out at the college?
Well, we're so far so good. We're managing the safety distance issues, and we have not had any kind of significant outbreak like they've had in some other campuses around the country. Our staff and our students are really being, prudent and being responsible, and I really give credit to them, but also the faculty and then our administrative team that developed a structured, organized return. And it's going real well, and hopefully, knock on wood, it continues. And we're going to expedite the time frame of the semester so people can be finished when they go home for Thanksgiving, and then take online exams the week after Thanksgiving. So they'll be out about 2 weeks earlier than they normally would be. But again, we don't want them all going home for Thanksgiving and coming back and maybe exposing people. So we'll see how that works.
Okay. Jim Kirsten's our guest at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I want to correct myself. I said earlier that a supervisor will be on in the next hour. One of our supervisors will be with us tomorrow at this time.
Oh, okay, good.
But we're expecting David Feerick, city manager, in the next half hour. So.
Okay, well, do you remember which supervisor it is? Because maybe I could give him a heads up.
Well, it's usually Keith Dinklaw, and then Mark and Bob come in every now and then. The other two don't seem to have much time to get over here. So.
Okay, I'll hopefully let them know.
All right. Yeah, that'll be good. And yeah.
So I think you'd asked David the last time where we were with the cable TV issue, and I know that they're moving forward and trying to come up with a win-win for public-private partnership. And is that kind of where it still stands?
As far as I know, I tried to talk with Matt Bemrick about it. We got involved in some tiff argument, and I will ask David again today because it's kind of a pet issue with me.
Well, me and you go back to that issue.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. You were on the cable commission with me.
Well, that's when the commission actually had some authority. Then the Mediacom was wise and got the statewide franchise put in place. They don't have to report to the city how much they actually invest every year.
Yeah, I remember that too when Mediacom got that bill passed. That was a little bit of God. They had some state official, some well-known state official, on their television commercials and radio commercials. Who was that?
I can't remember, but they did a wonderful job.
They did a great job in pushing that forward. Like, oh, Mediacom's on your side. You know me, I'm a state official. After the election and Mediacom won their position, it was revealed that this guy had made a lot of money from Mediacom. They paid him a lot of money to be their spokesperson, which I don't know why I didn't think of it at the time. But I do know I never heard from him again. So he must have taken the money and moved to Florida.
Yeah. Well, and our voters finally spoke a year or so ago that 70% said we want a different option. And that's what the city's trying to explore. And I think it's a great idea.
I hope so. What we need is a little competition. Mediacom hates competition. Most businesses don't like it, but it's in the public interest to have competition. Yeah. And this is what we got to do. Yep. Jim Kirsten's been our guest. Thank you, Jim.
Yep, thank you, and have a good night.
You too. This is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer and I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher, Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell. And he says, he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester, and it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge. Dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity. Allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts, freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose. And that's love for country. And to the republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people. And it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
All right, thank you, Red Skelton, the great Red Skelton. A lot of folks don't even know who he is anymore, but you and I do, don't we? It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Fox News is next. City Manager David Furyk will join us. Always look forward to talking with David. Thank you for listening. This is AM 1400 KBFD, the voice of Fort Dowd.
Your town, your station. KBFD News when it breaks.
President Trump calls it domestic terror. On Lisa Brady, Fox News. He's condemning the riots, looting, and attacks on police after the police shooting of Jacob Blake in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Reckless far-left politicians continue to push the destructive message that our nation and our law enforcement are oppressive or racist. They'll throw out any word.
The president holding a roundtable with law enforcement and announcing funding for the state after touring some of the damage in Kenosha, where the Democratic governor sent in the National Guard earlier this week.
We're all in this together, and this was an example of what can happen when you do it right.
Meantime, Joe Biden turning attention back to coronavirus in an online event with running mate Kamala Harris.
One of the great things I love about our plan is that it takes into account racial disparities.
As they continue to criticize the president's pandemic response, they're at it again. The same Russian entity that meddled in the 2016 election by sowing discord with bogus accounts. Only this time, Facebook takes down the influence operation.
Facebook removes 13 fake accounts and 2 pages linked to Russia's Internet Research Agency for coordinated inauthentic behavior. The network linked to a phony media organization called Peace Data, attempting to target left-wing voters in the U.S. by sharing articles about the 2020 election. Some using fake photos to pose as news editors, misleading freelance journalists to write for them. Facebook suspending the network before it gained a large following thanks to a tip from the FBI.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. The FBI says it provided the information to better protect against threats to U.S. security and democratic processes. Intelligence officials have also warned about China and Iran attempting election interference. Meantime, a new Pentagon report says China now has the largest navy in the world, surpassing the U.S. and has doubled its stockpile of nuclear warheads, though the U.S. still has far more of those. America is listening to Fox News.
Hi!
Ahoy!
Yoo-hoo! Ahoy!
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 Ahoy there!
Ahoy!
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 Ahoy! In the name of the great Neptune! Ahoy!
Tides can turn quick on the water. Boat insurance has you covered with basic plans starting at $100 a year. Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Annual premium for a basic liability policy not available in all states. Prices vary based on how you buy.
So who is your wireless provider? AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile? The average person is saving $400 a year by switching to Pure Talk USA. Pure Talk is on the same network, same towers, just 50% off in terms of price. Right now, get unlimited talk, text, and 2 gigs of data for just $20 a month. Switch to Pure Talk today. Now, from your cell phone, dial pound 250 and say Pure Radio. That's pound 250, Pure Radio, Pure Talk USA. Simply smarter wireless.
More than $1 billion in coronavirus assistance apparently went to firms ineligible for the federal funding.
House Democrats are raising questions to the Treasury Secretary about waste and fraud in the Paycheck Protection Program, a small loan program designed to help businesses make payroll during the coronavirus closures.
These loans were based upon certifications, and obviously all the certifications that are wrong will get the money back. We had over $30 billion that was returned immediately.
Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin says all loans above $2 million are audited. Democrats found more than $1 billion went to companies ineligible for loans. Republican lawmakers say the program has avoided fraud to a typical extent as other large relief programs. Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Tropical storm Omar just becoming the 15th named storm of the Atlantic hurricane season, expected to be short-lived. This just hours after Nana formed south of Jamaica, heading for Central America. The CMA nominations are out.
Miranda Lambert leads the 2020 Country Music Association Awards with 7 nominations, including her first Entertainer of the Year nomination in 5 years.
And if the house just keeps on winning,
Lambert's Bluebird off her Wild Card album was her first country airplay #1 in years. She's followed by Luke Combs, who continues to be one of country music's biggest streaming artists with 6 nominations, including his first Entertainer of the Year nod. Also nominated Carrie Underwood, Keith Urban, and Eric Church round out that category. No word yet on whether the show moves forward virtually or with an audience. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
British singer-songwriter Ed Sheeran announcing the birth of his first child with the childhood friend he married last year. In an Instagram post, the 29-year-old says they're on cloud 9, and the name of their baby girl is Lyra Antarctica Seaborn Sheeran. I'm Lisa Brady, and this is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. A Webster County man has entered a not guilty plea to a murder charge. 43-year-old Fort Dodge resident Justin Hurdle is charged with first-degree murder after police say he killed his estranged wife, Maggie Flint. The alleged incident happened August 5th, and Hurdle was arrested on August 6th. Police located him after a search of over 16 hours. According to court documents, Hurdle had been charged with domestic assault on Flint in the past, and Flint had told police of threats on her life made by Hurdle last fall. Test results have determined that a fire that destroyed the Oasis nightclub in Storm Lake was set intentionally. Radio Iowa's Ryan Thompson has more.
Samples were removed from the floor of the stage where the fire is believed to have started and were taken to the state crime lab to be evaluated. Gasoline was found to be present in the samples tested. The fire occurred late in the night on August 8th. The Oasis nightclub will not be reopening due to the extent of damage. Anyone who may have information about the fire is asked to contact the Storm Lake Police Department. For Radio Iowa from Storm Lake, I'm Ryan Thompson.
The City of Fort Dodge Public Works Department and Sanitation Division has announced due to the Labor Day holiday, Monday, September 7th, that garbage collection routes for the City of Fort Dodge will undergo some changes. Residents that normally have theirs collected on Monday will be collected Tuesday, September 8th. Those normally collected on Tuesdays will be collected on Thursday, September 10th. Wednesday, September 9th will be the normal schedule, and those citizens that have theirs picked up on Thursdays will be collected on Friday, September 11th. The Central Maintenance Facility will be closed for yard waste disposal on Monday, September 7th. Curbside yard waste will not be picked up on Friday, September 11th. The Sanitation Division asks residents to place their trash and recycling out for collection by 6 a.m. on the scheduled day of pickup. For more information, visit FortDodgeIowa.org. Webster County is now under a burn ban. A statement released by Dylan Hagan, the Webster County Emergency Management Coordinator, on Monday afternoon says that conditions here in Webster County constitute a danger to life or property. Thus, open burning is prohibited. The ban went in effect this morning and will not be lifted until Hagan notifies the state fire marshal's office that the dangerous conditions no longer exist. Any violation of the burn ban will be considered a simple misdemeanor. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Partly cloudy skies this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 77. Winds out of the south 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 52. Tonight, mainly clear. 88 tomorrow, mainly clear skies. Upper 70s Thursday, turning much warmer on Friday with highs in the mid-80s. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 70.
Sports Report, I'm Rob Jones. From Radio Iowa Sports, Iowa State will allow 25,000 fans at the Cyclone home opener against Louisiana on September 12th. ISU Athletic Director Jamie Pollard says there will be no tailgating allowed and fans will be required to wear face coverings.
And what better opportunity for our fans to shine? We do a great job in showing how good we are at bowl games. We did a great job with game day. We do a great job with game attendance. Let's show the country that Ames, Iowa, and Iowa State Cyclone fans can nail this.
The stadium will be mapped out to allow for social distancing, and Pollard says if fans do not follow protocols, the October 4th game against Oklahoma could be played without fans at Jack Trice.
Do your part, and let's see if we can make this happen. And if we can make it happen, it could be an incredible success story. And if it just ends up being, for whatever reason, lack of compliance or our mitigation strategies just don't work, okay, then we got to pull the plug. And but I'll know we tried.
Catch every single game of the 2020 Iowa State football season on your home for the Iowa State Cyclones, True Country 540 KWMT. The University of Iowa Athletic Department has announced that it's pausing workouts for all its teams until the day after Labor Day. The announcement was made due to rising COVID-19 concerns on campus. Dr. Andrew Peterson, an Iowa professor and head team physician, said, quote, due to the recent increase in cases in the community, we've made the decision to pause voluntary and mandatory workouts until after Labor Day. We remain confident in our overall process, including testing, contact tracing, and daily health screening, end quote. As part of the return to campus protocol, the University of Iowa conducted over 800 COVID-19 tests last week. 93 of those tests were positive and 722 came back negative. The University of Iowa's protocol also includes isolation for people who test positive and quarantine for those who might have been exposed to someone with the virus. And that's your afternoon sports report for Divine Intervention with Mike Devine on KVFD AM 1400.
It's 11 minutes after 4 o'clock. Thank you very much, Rob. We'll talk with David Feerick, City Manager, in 30 seconds at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
I'm Phil Gunderson. Gunderson's has a tradition of providing services unmatched in our community. Funeral, cremation, and pre-planning services with certified celebrants on staff, aftercare, video, and customized printed goods that are the standard. We offer live streaming options and community support with remembrance and educational programs. When it's time to look for a funeral home, look to Gunderson's.
Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services.
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Well, thank you very much. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. And I guess David Feerick and I have to go down to Iowa City and kick a little Hawkeye butt here in the next few days. What do you mean they don't have a swimming program anymore?
That sucks. I know this is their last year.
Jeez. You have a son in what year of school?
He's in third year. He's a junior.
They take away his senior year on the swim team?
It appears that way. Yeah, we got a bunch of parents that are working to try to fix that issue, see if we can get something changed, but try to work with administration to realize there's a different funding mechanism for Olympic sports and that they could still fund the program. I mean, we realize they got to make some budgetary decisions, but I think they can do it without cutting programs. Other sports programs are doing that.
Yeah, they know better down at the University of Iowa than try to cut wrestling, even though wrestling is certainly a non-revenue sport. And, but I don't know, I don't want to discourage you, but I know these academics are seriously arrogant and they hate to have one of their decisions questioned or overturned. They get a little petty about it. I mean, ISU dropped baseball. Iowa State University hasn't had baseball in years. For what? Some Title IX stuff? Well, I'm sure we can work around that. I'm sure there can be funding found for ISU baseball. Of course, we'd have to reassemble a coaching staff and everything else. It would be a mighty effort. But baseball is the national pastime, and I'm not getting this. I really am not. Anyway, David Feerick's our guest, and before I gripe about the University of Iowa and all our time is going, I should ask you about Jim Kirsten and I were talking about this earlier about city broadband. We're both anxious to see a breakthrough on city broadband, whether it's city-owned broadband or merging with a partner or whoever. Can you give us any kind of update on that?
Yeah, I know you guys are urgently awaiting or patiently or maybe less than patiently awaiting some other type of broadband service. But so again, this is a long process. It's pretty methodical. We are still in what I would call the feasibility portion to see if a city-owned broadband system works. So that process will take us into October before we have some results from that. Same time we're doing that in a parallel path. We have requests for letters of intent from potential private broadband carriers that would be interested in a partnership with the city if they're willing to do broadband citywide. So those two things are moving forward. We had a really positive meeting last Friday with our consultants that are working on the the feasibility study and provide them some more information. So they're plugging along. I think our deadline on the RFIs is still a couple weeks out. We had initially had it set for the end of August, but some of the companies that are wanting to put in were impacted significantly by the derecho, so they wanted a couple more weeks to fill out the information. So we said that sure, we thought that was a good idea to provide a couple more weeks versus missing somebody from that from them submitting their letters of intent.
All right. Is Mediacom still being considered as a partner? Because I'll tell you, their customer service is horrendous.
I think they would have to submit something. I don't know if they will.
Would they have to submit something in regard to customer service? Because this whole wait 4 hours thing is bull.
Yeah.
It's nonsense. Well, we have to do this. So it's in our business plan. How do you expect the corporate executives to make all the money in the world if we don't have you sitting by your phone for 4 hours? I mean, it's just, come on.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. It's always been ridiculous. And I'm surprised it took us this long to do something about it. Once the vote came about, I think we spoke pretty clearly. Of course, Chip Baltimore is always roaming around Des Moines down there. And I like Chip, but boy, is he off on this one. He's trying to do everything he can to make sure that Mediacom kind of maintains as much of their monopoly as they can.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the problem started when Mediacom got a franchise agreement with the state and put all the little guys out of business. That was not good. But that's what happened, David. So we have, over your fierce objections, I'm sure, we have cleanup day coming up. And just tell me one thing. When is cleanup day for 4th Avenue North here in town? I'm on the south side of the road. That matters.
Oh, I know. That's the trick question.
It's always a trick question.
I wonder if I could find that.
That's the dividing line. I think actually Menke's my city councilman. If I was on the other side of the street, it'd be Allstott, I think.
Yeah. When was it? Was it last time? Were you the?
I'll tell you what I did last time. They picked it up on the north side of the street, so I just took my stuff over there. I did.
Okay, I'm getting to the press release here. So Monday, October 5th for the areas north of 4th Avenue North, west of 15th Street. So I'm Monday, October 12th for the areas south of 4th Avenue North and west of 15th Street.
So I'm the 15th?
So we're just not picking up 4th Avenue North this year. Everything but 4th Avenue North.
Move that dividing line up to 5th Avenue North or something. Or 7th Avenue North. That's where the mayor lives up in there. So do that to him.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Mayor Matt Bermick will not be here Thursday.
Oh. So anyway, that's either October 5th or October 12th. I'll get clarification on the 4th Avenue North, specifically whether we split it or we do the whole street on the 5th or the 12th.
Okay. I'm down with that. I'm down. I don't have that much junk to haul out this year anyway.
Yeah.
I never really have.
You probably wouldn't have much.
No, even when I was married, if we put something out on the curb, we were over in 3rd Avenue North, then people would take it. The scavengers would come by and pick up all the stuff we put out there. I used to talk to my wife, are we throwing away something that works or what? No, we weren't. People just come by and get it. So, David Farrick, city manager, is our guest at AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. We do not have a city council meeting Monday because, of course, it's Labor Day. But we do have one the following week. That would be, the 14th? Yeah, right in the middle of the month. So, do you know the agenda or any hot items coming up there? Or
not a whole. I can't think of anything that's too hot to trot on the agenda. I think we're going to have some discussions on the master plans we did for Snellcroft Park and Expo Park in a workshop Monday the 14th. But I don't know if there's any real exciting agenda items coming up.
I would like to congratulate the Fort Dodge Messenger and their breaking news yesterday when they finally got around to covering the TIF situation in town. You and I talked about it, 2 weeks in a row, and I had the mayor on. Mayor got a little feisty. He was a little defensive about TIF, but I think we covered it pretty well over here. But and all of a sudden yesterday, the Messenger goes, "Oh my God, TIF! We better put this out. It's breaking news." I think Denny Plouts does that. Denny likes the Messenger. I understand he's got to play ball on both sides.
Well, getting an explanation out for it.
That was good.
I think there's good value with it, and everyone can have an opinion of how it's used and what it's used for, and that's why we have city councils made up of 7 people to kind of deliberate what is the proper use of it. And it's my job and our lawyer or bond counsel's job to tell us what is the legal use of it. Is this legal? Is it not? And then do what we can from there. So.
Well, I had the god of TIF in Iowa on the air with me on Thursday. I mean, Dr. Peter Fisher, who was retired from the University of Iowa, is an economist emeritus down there, and he just essentially, it took him 20 minutes to say this, but essentially what he said is TIF use as described in the Fort Dodge project has become more prevalent over the years. I think there's 3,000 TIF projects in the state of Iowa alone. That's wild.
It could be. It's a pretty helpful tool and try to bring economic development into areas and redevelopment.
Okay. All right. Have all our TIF projects worked out, do you think?
Yeah, I think, we have a lot. So I'm sitting here talking from memory of if they've all worked out. I think for most part, most of them did either better than we expected as far as, we got paid off our project sooner, or, but there are a few that paid less. But, in a few examples, there were some where, a lot of them we do when there's like an industrial expansion or other projects, is we do what's called an annual appropriation refund. So, let's say there was a larger expense that was going to make the project prohibitive, and we worked out a deal with the developer that they go ahead and spend the extra money, then we would reimburse them annually with the TIF that comes in off the project for a period of years. So we've had some where the TIF hasn't come in quite so fast, so they've gotten paid a little less. But the nice thing is if they're paid a little less and it's a little slower, they're paying less in taxes. So I mean, really, it's kind of a net even for the industry.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, it's just you make a projection of what the new taxes are going to be, but we're not 100% control of that because that becomes a county assessor decision.
Well, I'm glad to see on another issue entirely. I'm glad to see that North 15th Street is now open north of First Avenue South. I was down there today and looked north.
Yeah,
they were getting it open and clean. Really looks nice. Really looks a lot better.
Yeah, I noticed they're open that this morning.
Yeah.
And, but now First Avenue South by the bridge is closed. 20th Street is closed.
Notice that right away. Yeah, I got to figure out a better way to get to J-Mars, I'll tell you that.
Typical summer, once something opens, we close something else.
That's okay. If it's got to be done, it's got to be done.
Yeah, that's about 20 working days on that project.
Yeah, what are they doing? Are they just putting a new blacktop down, stripping off the old?
No, there's some utility work under the ground going in there.
Utility work going under the bridge?
No, not under the bridge, on 20th Street.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right on 20th Street.
So
I see butts up against it.
Yeah, it's impacting the intersection, so you can't have people coming over the bridge, and because there's no real room to turn around and go back, so that's why the whole bridge is closed.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I didn't catch the 20th Street reference there for some reason. 20th Street is just on the end of the bridge there. Anyway, we can get the speed limit raised on that bridge a little bit, like up to 30 or something, because I haven't seen the speed cameras out there for a while, but I don't suppose we have a terrible traffic problem out there.
It is. It's getting better. People slowing down finally.
People doing what?
Slowing down finally.
Yeah, maybe we can just leave the car at home and walk, David. Yeah, people slowing down. There hasn't been a pedestrian accident out there in several years, Dave. I just thought I'd point that out. Anyway, I've already covered this territory several times. Nobody seems to be listening to me, and I'm a little hurt by it, but that's okay. Do we have any update on the, what are we calling the Crossroads Mall project anyway?
The Corridor Center is the name they have.
The Corridor Center.
Yeah.
Okay.
And nothing that's set in stone that I can update yet as far as releasing for public. I think there should be some projects coming up where the JCPenney's and Yonkers are coming down soon.
Yeah, they're coming down. Breaks my heart, but they're coming down.
Yeah. And there'll be some more work on that. We do have a meeting with the developers tomorrow, but I can't really report on what we're talking about there. But it's like a lot of retail. It'll be a work in progress and take years, and it'd be nice to announce some businesses soon.
It wasn't that long ago, 5 years ago, I think, I went out to Yonkers on Thanksgiving evening. It was one of the first. It was the first time that Yonkers and Target and some of those stores out there were opening Thanksgiving evening before Friday. What do they call that? Black Friday or something. But I'll tell you, I was one of the very few men in line there to wait for Yonkers to get in. Dave, I'm 6'2", 230. I thought I wouldn't be pushed around, but I was totally wrong. Those ladies shoved me the hell out of the way. And if I wanted a bedspread, I better grab it before they did, because they were going to have it and they weren't letting go. I got whatever I needed and got the hell out of there. That was too intense for me. That was intense shopping. The women seemed to be loving it, but it was too much for me. I broke under the pressure.
That's not my style. Intense shopping.
Intense shopping. Okay. Is there anything else we need to talk about, David?
So I'm sure you may have heard at the press release that Webster County is now under a countywide burn ban.
Oh, thank you for mentioning that. Yes, we should have covered that when Steve Peterson of the Farm Bureau was on. Yeah.
So it's getting significant. If there's high winds, there could be, there's been some brush fires out in the county, and you hate to get to this time of year and the corn gets dry, and then you get to a major field fire. So there's a Webster County burn ban in place. Now, what that means for Fort Dodge residents is, you still can use your grill. If you have like a fire, outside, it has to be in a contained, outdoor fireplace is what they call them, with a lid and a screen. You can do that. About this time of year, people start asking, when are we going to be allowed to burn leaves? Well, as long as there's this prohibition in place, there will be no burning of leaves.
Right.
So, and typically we don't have that open leaf burning till towards the end of October, but it seems like with this dry weather, leaves are falling sooner. But it's still probably a ways off, and it's just not going to happen during this mandated burn ban.
Okay, you know how I am. I'm suspicious, David. Did you plan this drought just so you could have a burn ban?
No.
Okay. All right. David, it's great to talk to you.
Yeah, nice talking to you too.
All right. We'll talk to you next week. David Farrig has been our guest.
Okay.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
At AM 1400 KVFD.
It's 429.
Hiring can be challenging, but ZipRecruiter makes it fast and easy. We talked to Monica Starks, who needed to hire for a pivotal role at her company, GS Group.
As the owner of a construction company, finding the right people is a very difficult task. So I use ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology identifies the right people for your job and actively invites them to apply, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/trial. Monica did, and that's how she found Lamont, her new project superintendent.
The job is so perfect for me. I had a career breakthrough. I would have never found this job if it wasn't for ZipRecruiter.
With ZipRecruiter, we've hired everyone from accountants to project managers to field scientists. With ZipRecruiter, we get hiring results.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/trial. That's ZipRecruiter.com/trial. ZipRecruiter.com/trial.
This is the Frells family. They live on a piece of land they call greener pasture, and they work on it behind the wheel of a John Deere 1 Series tractor. With its durable construction and features that hook up to dozens of attachments with ease, no job is too tough. The Frells family runs with us because this is more than just land. It's home. Nothing runs like a Deere. Get a 1 Series tractor for just $99 per month at your John Deere dealer today. For additional cost information, please call toll-free 855-633-2315.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. September corn up a penny at $3.49.5. December up a quarter cent at $3.58. March corn up a quarter penny at $3.67 and May up a half a cent at $3.74.5. September soybeans up 3 3/4 at $9.55. November up 1 1/4 at $9.54 3/4. January up 1 1/4 at $9.61. March up 2 cents at $9.61 3/4. September wheat up 11 1/2 at $5.55 3/4. Soybean meal down $1.80 a ton at $3.0280. October live cattle up 17 cents at $105.47. December up 17 at $109.15. September feeder cattle down 17 cents at $140.12. October up 2 at $140.65. October lean hogs up $142 at $55.02, and December up 65 cents at $55.77. I'm Dwayne Murley. Here's a look at how the markets closed today. September corn up a penny at $3.49.5. December up a quarter cent at $3.58. March corn up a quarter penny at $3.67 3/4, and May up a half a cent at $3.74.5. September soybeans up 3 3/4 at $9.55. November up 1 1/4 at $9.54 3/4. January up 1 1/4 at $9.61. March up 2 cents at $9.61 3/4. September wheat up 11 1/2 at $5.55 3/4. Soybean meal down $1.80 a ton at $3.0280. October live cattle up 17 cents at $105.47. December up 17 at $109.15. September feeder cattle down 17 cents at $140.12. October up 2 at $140.65. October lean hogs up $142 at $55.02, and December up 65 cents at $55.77. I'm Dwayne Murley.
From the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones. A Webster County man has entered a not guilty plea to a murder charge. 43-year-old Fort Dodge resident Justin Hurdle is charged with first-degree murder after police say he killed his estranged wife, Maggie Plint. The alleged incident happened August 5th, and Hurdle was arrested on August 6th. Police located him after a search of over 16 hours. According to court documents, Hurdle had been charged with domestic assault on Flint in the past, and Flint had told police of threats on her life made by Hurdle last fall. Hurdle entered a not guilty plea on Monday to first-degree murder. Test results have determined that a fire that destroyed the Oasis nightclub in Storm Lake was set intentionally. Radio Iowa's Ryan Thompson has more.
Samples were removed from the floor of the stage where the fire is believed to have started and were taken to the state crime lab to be evaluated. Gasoline was found to be present in the samples tested. The fire occurred late in the night on August 8th. Firefighters located the fire burning in the area of the stage at the east end of the building. The Oasis nightclub will not be reopening due to the extent of damage. Anyone who may have information about the fire is asked to contact the Storm Lake Police Department. For Radio Iowa from Storm Lake, I'm Ryan Thompson.
The City of Fort Dodge Public Works Department and Sanitation Division has announced due to the Labor Day holiday, Monday, September 7th, that garbage collection routes for the City of Fort Dodge will undergo some changes. Residents that normally have theirs collected on Monday will be collected Tuesday, September 8th. Those normally collected on Tuesdays will be collected on Thursday, September 10th. Wednesday, September 9th will be the normal schedule, and those citizens that have theirs picked up on Thursdays will be collected on Friday, September 11th. The central maintenance facility will be closed for yard waste disposal on Monday, September 7th. Curbside yard waste will not be picked up on Friday, September 11th. The Sanitation Division asks residents to place their trash and recycling out out for collection by 6 a.m. on the scheduled day of pickup. For more information, visit FortDodgeIowa.org. From Radio Iowa Sports, Iowa State will allow 25,000 fans at the Cyclone home opener against Louisiana on September 12th. ISU Athletic Director Jamie Pollard says there will be no tailgating allowed and fans will be required to wear face coverings.
And what better opportunity for our fans to shine? We do a great job in showing how good we are at bowl games. We did a great job with game day. We do a great job with game attendance. Let's show the country that Ames, Iowa, and Iowa State Cyclone fans can nail this.
The stadium will be mapped out to allow for social distancing, and Pollard says if fans do not follow protocols, the October 4th game against Oklahoma could be played without fans at Jack Trice.
Do your part, and let's see if we can make this happen. And if we can make it happen, it could be an incredible success story. And if it just ends up being, for whatever reason, lack of compliance or our mitigation strategies just don't work, okay, then we got to pull the plug. And but I'll know we tried.
Catch every single game of the 2020 Iowa State football season on your home for the Iowa State Cyclones, True Country 540 KWMT. That's your Alpha Media News Update from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom. I'm Rob Jones.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I'm Michael Devine with the weather. I better refresh this screen here just so I can see. Oh, the temperature hasn't changed. It's still 70 degrees. That's great. Sunny for the rest of today. The National Weather Service says we might have a high of 77. If so, it better get warm fast. Mostly clear overnight with a low of 52. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 87. Thursday, sunny with a high of 77 on Thursday. On Friday, sunny with a high of 85. Saturday, sunny with a high of 90. On Sunday, mostly sunny with a high of 83. And on Labor Day, we have a chance of rain, slight chance of rain, partly sunny, high 70 degrees. Right now, it is 70 degrees in Fort Dodge. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce Funeral Home at 923 First Avenue South, Fort Dodge. You may contact the historic Bruce Funeral Home by calling 515-576-5117 or online at www.brucesfuneralhome.com. Alf Lee has died. Alf Lee of Fort Dodge has passed away at the age of 96. He passed away last Sunday at Friendship Haven here in Fort Dodge. Services for Alf Lee will be at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday here in town. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce Funeral Home at 923 First Avenue South, Fort Dodge. You may contact the historic Bruce Funeral Home by calling 515-576-5117 or online at www.brucesfuneralhome.com. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. It's 438.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. September corn up a penny at $3.49.5. December up a quarter cent at $3.58. March corn up a quarter penny at $3.67 3/4, and May up a half a cent at $3.74.5. September soybeans up 3 3/4 at $9.55. November up 1 1/4 at $9.54 3/4. January up 1 1/4 at $9.61. March up 2 cents at $9.61 3/4. September wheat up 11 1/2 at $5.55 3/4. Soybean meal down $1.80 a ton at $3.0280. October live cattle up 17 cents at $105.47. December up 17 at $109.15. September feeder cattle down 17 cents at $140.12. October up 2 at $140.65. October lean hogs up $142 at $55.02, and December up 65 cents at $55.77. I'm Dwayne Murley.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stocks kicking off September on a high note, building on strong gains from August, with the S&P 500 and NASDAQ notching new record closes. The Dow rising 216 points, the NASDAQ up 164, S&P 500 up 26. And Walmart shares surging over 6% after the world's biggest retailer revealed that it plans to take on Amazon Prime and will be launching a cheaper membership program called Walmart Plus, which debuts in 2 weeks. NVIDIA stock closing at a record high as the chip company launched its new line of gaming cards, and details retail more video games that are taking advantage of its new ray tracing technology. And AMC Entertainment expects to open 140 theaters by Thursday as one of the first big movies to release to theaters drives demand for more theaters to open. The move comes after the highly anticipated Tenet flick had a strong international showing in its first weekend of release. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Hillary Barsky, invested in you.
Customers, students, and staff expect a new level of clean. Cintas has the essential products and services to help you carry out cleaning protocols effectively. Cintas performs surface sanitizer and disinfectant spray services to common touchpoints, installs and refills touchless hand sanitizer dispensers, and provides commercial laundry services to help minimize employee exposure. Give everyone the confidence they need to keep coming back. Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
How do smart, hard-working roofing contractors run jobs smoothly, even remotely? They save time with Beacon. The Beacon Pro Plus app features simple online ordering and bill pay. Choose products like the new GAF Timberline HDZ shingles with a 600% larger strike zone nailing area for faster, more accurate installations. Pick the style, color, and quantity and let the app order for you. With Beacon Pro Plus, order round the clock from anywhere. Work smarter. Download the free app at beaconproplus.com.
We've seen how real estate executive Teresa Greenfield wrote off Iowa small businesses by personally signing the notices to throw them on the street and tear down their stores to make way for a big foreign-owned chain store. And under Greenfield's leadership, a company she worked for crumbled, leaving behind nearly $29 million in debt, defaulting on loans, and costing even more Iowans their jobs. As a big shot executive, Teresa Greenfield's record is clear. She was bad for jobs, bad for small businesses, and bad for Iowa workers. Teresa Greenfield, she's definitely not the person to bring jobs back to Iowa. Say no to Teresa Greenfield for Senate. Senate Leadership Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.senateleadershipfund.org.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Do you ever get tired of watching bad things happen to people?
Sticking up for you when no one else will.
Woo, good.
On this edition of the Iowa Business Report,
the number of individuals that lost their jobs in Iowa, and that's particularly the case in leisure and hospitality industry where the losses were very significant.
We know that the economy has suffered as a result of the pandemic shutdown, but by how much? And how will that impact policymaking in the future? USMCA went into effect last month. An assessment by some of the key players is coming up soon. And you'll learn about a Quad Cities area business that is local, slow, and pure. This is the Iowa Business Report for the last weekend of August 2020.
The Iowa Business Report is presented with support from the Iowa Association of Business and Industry. The Iowa Association of Business and Industry has been the voice of Iowa business since 1903. Learn more online at iowaabi.org. Here is Jeff Stein.
We all started this year with optimism for business in Iowa and the U.S. Then came a global pandemic with an uncertain outcome even today. We welcome back two return guests to the program this week. Walt Rogers is Deputy Director of TEF Iowa. Dr. Ernie Goss is a Creighton University economist and the leading expert on the Midwest economy. They teamed up on a project to determine the actual dollar impact of COVID-19 on Iowa and what that means for our future. First, Walt Rogers.
TEF Iowa stands for Tax Education Foundation. Our goal is to really help every Iowan achieve the American dream. And a lot of people have a different idea what that means, but we are here to help come up with good policy that helps Iowans. And so we were pretty interested about how COVID-19 was affecting our economy. And me being a former legislator, I know that legislators are concerned mostly about how they're going to do budgets next year. You know, I've talked to a lot of them, and a lot of them have asked me, hey, Walt, can you find out some things about what our budget's going to look like. And so our organization turned to Dr. Gloss and his co-worker and partner, Scott Strain. They've done an excellent job of looking at some of the data. And so they put out a report that's helping us and helping Iowans figure this out. And mostly, I can help then legislators next session and our team look at data and educate them about making good decisions for our budgets.
And Ernie, there's always something, right? I mean, we've talked at the fall of last year when you were in Waterloo about the outlook for 2020, and very quickly that all changed because of COVID. And now